Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the KeenGamer podcast. My name is Kyle, and I've got a great show for you this week. Like always, we are joined by Mark O'Callahan. Mark, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm all hyped up. Thursday's the Game Awards. Next week is Spider-Man No Way Home. Following week is Christmas. Avengers 2022.
There's something to look forward to almost every week for the rest of the year. It should fly by pretty quickly, in my opinion. I think it'll be January before we know it. I'm just looking forward to kind of those like last 2 weeks of the year where I can just sit down, not worry about game of the year, not worry about, last minute assignments. I just want to get under a blanket, play some video games, have a good time, and we're getting so close, but we're not there yet.
So close.
So close. So we do have a good show for you guys this week. Unfortunately, news is really slowing down as we get closer to the end of the year. We're not hearing as many press releases or game announcements. I mean, we probably will hear some on Thursday at the Game Awards. But to start the show, we'll do what we always do. We'll talk about the games that we're currently playing. In the middle of the show, we'll talk about the news that we do have for you. And at the very end of the show, Mark and I are going to make some predictions about some of the announcements we think we might see from the Game Awards. And I told Mark before we recorded, get as creative as possible as you want with this thing. The joke I made to him was, if you think we're going to see a first-person Mario 64 that is in the same vein as Battlefield 2042, write it down. I like the guesses.
As in the game will be a shooter or just a lot of bugs?
It's going to be very buggy. Nintendo will release their first infamously buggy, patchy game. They'll pull it from the eShop for a month, and then it'll come back and it'll just be Mario Sunshine. That's what I think will happen.
Insert the noise when Mario dies. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep. Game over for Nintendo. But the first game we want to talk about this week, we talked about it last week a little bit, that the new Spider-Man DLC was coming to Marvel's Avengers game, and Mark has been playing it, and I'm curious about what you think about playing a Spider-Man within the Avengers game.
You want to know my opinion?
I do.
It's just okay.
Oh, it's like a 5 out of 10?
It's what the asterisk of like, it's a free DLC.
Yeah.
If it was like $5, it's a 5 out of 10.
So since booting it up, has there been like a moment of adrenaline for you in this DLC? Has there been like a moment where you're like, oh, this is cool? Or has it all been pretty much blasé?
It is kind of cool just seeing him interact with like Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop, just all the characters. You all have personal interactions, even Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, oh wow, this actually is like happening.
Do they have voice lines recorded directly towards other characters? Like, is Spider-Man saying, hey, Kate, over here? Or is he saying, oh, watch your left, Black Widow? Or is it more generic voiceover?
It's more generic. Like when they're at like the hub, like the helicarrier, like it's personalized interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of like the same old lines, like when he's in battle, like he's making quips.
Yeah. And then in terms of playing as him, he must add a certain sense of verticality to the game, which must be pretty cool. But I imagine characters like Iron Man does that already. What are you enjoying about playing as Spider-Man over some of the other heroes in the game?
It's just more, well, A, it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So you can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And B, it is like the agility, like spider sense. Okay. Like they actually have like the lines from the comic book, like when it's character's about to hit, it's like pew pew.
Yeah. That reminds me of like Into the Spider-Verse, like whenever you saw Miles using his like spider senses, and you could see like the just like the radar going off around his head kind of thing.
Love it.
Yeah. With this DLC as well, like there's some cool skins for Spider-Man, right? You're not just playing in his basic black and red suit.
Yeah, there is some like, I do like the it's called the Bugle outfit, and it's like him with the spider mask and like basically the outfit he would wear to the Daily Bugle, like a little sweater vest, a little tucked in.
Yeah, but he's wearing the Spider-Man mask.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
You never see him unmasked, and I do like that because in the comics, most of the time, he doesn't really want to work with a team.
Yeah.
Like in the MCU, like, and it makes sense because he's grown up on these heroes. Like he wants to be with Iron Man and be with the Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But
even like
he's
in
like,
Civil War, he was like kind of like the freelance hero who kind of just like was recruited to join a side. He wasn't like was he? I don't think he was actively with. Was he on Captain America's side in Civil War?
do you mean the movie or the comic?
Sorry, the movie. Like they like he wasn't even really on either side. And somebody approached him and said, "Hey, we have a big fight coming up. I heard you have spider powers. Would you join us?"
Yeah, it was Tony came to his apartment,
Right.
met met Aunt May, and just like
Oh
he's
yeah.
starstruck, and he's like, "Whoa, you want me?"
Mm-hmm. But Spider-Man's like usually like more of an impartial or even like solo superhero. He's not as like group reliant as maybe even like Captain America or Black Widow.
Exactly. I would say more. He's more with the Fantastic Four
Oh, okay.
than the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe that's how I view him.
Yeah.
Which, side note, the same director for the Spider-Man MCU trilogy will be directing Fantastic Four, John Watts.
Oh. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. That gives
So
me
that'll
some
be
faith in
interesting.
give me some faith in a Fantastic Four movie for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, Feige's on board. You got my
Yeah.
faith.
Just bring back Silver Surfer. He's a cool idea. I would like to see Silver Surfer brought back at some point. But
And if you want Lawrence Fishburne back as a voice, I'm in.
yeah, yeah, totally, 100%. But back to the DLC. You're like you said, you're feeling just pretty okay about it. It's nothing is really sparking joy for you with it.
I mean, it is sparking joy, but it's something where I have to divorce playing this Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
versus the Insomniac Spider-Man,
Yep. Which
because the web
yeah.
slinging is just standard, no cool moves. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is a little disappointing because they made such a big point in the Insomniac Spider-Man game. Like,
Yeah.
every web is attached to something.
Mm-hmm.
But, in, like, Wakanda, even though there's no buildings or just no, like, trees around, like, he'll be, like, shooting webs, and it'll just be like, it's going in the sky.
Yeah. No, I'm swinging off clouds right now.
Yeah. That and, like, there's this move in the Insomniac Spider-Man where you can dive down to gain more momentum,
Yes.
and I feel like unless you're doing it for a couple seconds, there is no momentum within, swinging.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's like standard, like you move, it's like pew, 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 pew.
Yep. But nothing else like really beyond that though.
I thought in terms of like Spider-Man as a whole or
Mm-hmm.
web slinging.
The web slinging, there's like playing as him, I guess. Like you are not doing like you said, going back to Marvel Spider-Man, there's like skill trees and there's certain powers you unlock. I remember using the I think it was called like the Spider Blossom, possibly, where Spider-Man kind of jumps up into
The,
the air in a ball.
the web blossom, yeah.
Web Blossom. Like that's what was my go-to in Insomniac Spider-Man. Is there anything like that that you can unlock, or is it more just thwip thwip? Oh, now you're stuck to a wall.
There is the three main abilities. One is the spider drone,
Okay.
and that's okay. Like, and I'm wondering, like in battle, like is it working?
Oh,
Not like technically, but I'm like, is this really effective?
yeah. Is it worth your time to do the spider drone over other things you could be doing?
Yeah. And then there is a ability like that with the web blossom, but you gotta aim it at an enemy.
Does time slow down while you're aiming, or is it still full speed?
It slows down a little bit. Like you can
Okay.
definitely like aim,
Gives you a bit of
but
a
with these
window.
like bigger brutes, it's not as effective.
Hmm.
So it's more for like crowd control.
Yeah. And like you were saying last week, there's no new content. You're not playing specific Spider-Man missions. You're not playing certain levels. It's just you're playing the multiplayer as Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I was right and a bit wrong last week. Yeah, I'll admit,
Okay.
because it is like some comic like introduction. So when you boot up the game, you're in the you have to go to the helicarrier, and then by the window you see this little spider web, and then
Okay.
that starts the Spider-Man DLC comic
Hmm.
like style, like introduction, like this is Spider-Man, this is why he's here, and this is his goal.
You don't
To
have to watch Uncle
just
Ben die, do you? You don't have to watch that in the comic.
Okay, this is a hot take. This is all random. I know people diss Uncle Ben like dying a lot, and like really got to see the Waynes getting murdered.
Yeah.
I love that. Not the
You're
people dying part, but
mhm.
like that's such a pivotal moment.
And it's like it is the origin story, right? Like what we see in even like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, it's once Uncle Ben dies that he really takes his role as Spider-Man so much more seriously. We don't see it with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but I was kind of curious if you saw it with the Avengers version.
Nah, you don't see like his origin, but you see like where he is before the events of like Avengers. Like he's still crime fighting. And I think this happened within 5 years because in the game,
Mm,
Captain America is assumably dead.
okay.
Because at the beginning of the game, there's A Day, and then he dies, quote unquote.
Yep.
So during that time, after that, he becomes Spider Man. So they don't really go into that, but it's like, hey, I'm in New York City. There's AIM. There's a Inhumans plot. They gotta yada yada,
Hmm.
and I gotta go to the Avengers.
Yeah.
And then there's the in-game like cinematics.
Are those good or do those present well?
They do. I'm kind of like iffy on the voice actor
Okay.
because maybe it's a little too high pitch.
Okay. Like he's like a
And
younger
this is coming
Spider-Man,
from a
maybe?
guy whose voice is like a 4 out of 10 on most days. And I was thinking, like, why? So in most like animation, like he'll have like when he's doing quips, like a little higher, a little more confident, but when like he's serious, he just talks normal.
Yeah.
But there's no like serious moments. So it like that influctuation of the voice
Hmm.
is just that one mode.
Yeah. It's a
But it's a
yeah.
good voice. Like
Yeah. We got really lucky with some Spider-Man voices over the years, so I guess like you have to really perform well to be on the same level as like I can't remember the name of the actor who does the voice in Insomniac Spider-Man, but I thought he was perfect.
I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Yuri.
Yep. Yep.
And then there's like other like from the Spectacular Spider-Man, which if you have not seen that, one of the
Hmm.
best animated shows,
Yep.
superhero wise of all time, Josh
Yep.
Keaton. And he's done a couple of that, like the roles in video games as well.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm judging this voice against those voices.
Hmm.
It's like if someone does Batman, it's like you're good, but you won't be Kevin Conroy.
No, you're not gonna be. No, Kevin Conroy is the bar. Not many actors are ever going to be able to jump over that bar. I think you can get close to it, but I think it's gonna be hard to replace Kevin Conroy as like the voice of Batman for most people.
Exactly, self included.
Yeah. So when it comes down to this DLC, it is free, right? That's what you said?
Yeah, it is free and it's only for PlayStation 4 and 5.
Right.
Sorry, Xbox.
Because I keep forgetting about this Sony exclusivity thing. Because I'm like, oh, I have Avengers on Game Pass on PC. I'm just gonna download it, play it there. But I keep forgetting I can't do that.
And it's like I get it because Spider-Man is Sony,
Hmm.
but is it really a big advantage?
I don't know, because like we live in a world where I can play Fortnite on my PS5 and I can play as Master Chief. So exclusivity and like what you're allowed to do on specific consoles is so fluid these days that I guess if Sony they're not even making money off this, it is a free DLC. It's not like it's $5 or $6 that they're making off it. So it is strange.
And if I'm Square Enix, I want people to buy this game.
Yes.
And sales have not been as promising as they want. So I feel like when that initial report, like this is beginning of the year, I would have
Hmm.
been like, all right, let's just put Spider-Man also on Microsoft. Let's try to damage control. Let's get some sales because granted, I have no clue about game development,
Hmm.
but it was more like a hero event from Overwatch.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
There's no like War for Wakanda was a massive update. It felt like its own little short story.
Hmm. It was like a new
Well,
location,
new
yeah.
location, new enemies. Actually, yeah, all the like big DLCs in Avengers, like the Hawkeye one,
Hmm.
introduced a new world, and then the Kate Bishop one before that, not really new location, but just like a new character with a lot of story.
Hmm.
And this one was like, hey, this is why Spider Man is here. You get a little bit of a wrap up, And that's it.
and that's it. Yeah, and which is like it's kind of good because I actually don't feel like I'm missing out on that much. If I do end up downloading Avengers on my Game Pass and playing it through there, it's gonna bother me a little bit that I can't play as Spider-Man. It's
Mhm.
gonna bother me a lot. At this point, from what you're saying, I don't think so.
And I would actually be interested because the people, of course, are playing this right now have PlayStations. I'm assuming you played Insomniac.
Hmm.
Like, imagine if you were solely Microsoft, like Xbox person. How would you feel like playing Spider-Man? Like, there's two big like experiences.
Hmm.
I'm someone who's been playing both Insomniac, just the standard one, and Miles nonstop,
Yeah,
and they perfected Spider-Man.
yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. But Microsoft, you never really had that Spider-Man experience.
Yeah, like they had ports. Like there's the 360 PS3 era. You could get like Shattered Dimensions. You could get like Web of Shat. Like there's a series of Spider-Man games that were released that were maybe not the best in the world. They kept trying to reinvent the formula. There's probably like four, even like the Amazing Spider-Man game was totally okay for both consoles. But
The first one was like good, maybe not now, but it was
yeah,
like, ooh, this is good. And then the second one, no.
no. Are you talking about Spider-Man 2, the game, like based off the
No,
movie?
the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I think Spider-Man 2 for like PS2 and GameCube is the one that had oh, what's his name from Evil Dead? Bruce Campbell voicing the tutorials for you in that game, and it was amazing.
He Oh my god, he did.
Yes, yeah. If you go back to even if you throw on a YouTube video with the first 10 minutes of Spider-Man 2, when you're like, here's how to jump, here's how to sling webs, it is Bruce Campbell, and he's like telling you jokes while he's doing it, which is really fun. That's Sam Raimi connection.
Okay, so this was before the podcast just started. We
Hmm.
were talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and
Yeah,
like who's the sixth member of the Sinister Six, and we said like maybe it's Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio,
yeah.
but the fourth Raimi Spider-Man, it was only going to be a brief scene. Spider-Man was going to fight Mysterio, turn him in. He was going to take off the helmet, and it was Bruce Campbell.
Interesting. I actually
Bruce
remember reading about
Campbell
this.
Mysterio is the sixth member of the Sinister Six.
Guys, No Way Home. I don't want to hear spoilers because I probably won't see it for the first couple of days. But if there's a Bruce Campbell is like the last bad guy in that movie, I would like to have the most genuine reaction to that as possible.
I would cry
Especially,
over that, over the rumored appearances of McGuire and Garfield.
yeah, yeah. Which seems those seem fun to me at this point. I just want to I want to see and hear the campy villains being campy and being like, "You're not Peter Parker."
Yeah.
Yeah. I do worry about No Way Home being overstuffed, but that's like a whole different conversation. Spider-Man is just it's just he's the guy of the month right now. We were talking earlier before, like you said, about Spider-Verse trailer, the new movie coming out, the DLC. Like he's really just having. They announced Spider-Man's coming to Fortnite, so he's Spider-Man, but he's having a good month so far.
Man, it's so good that a C-list character is finally getting its time to shine.
Yeah, yeah. Finally, he's a real Barney Stimson. Is that the guy from the
Barney
Flintstones?
from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, never mind. No, 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 no. I meant Fred's friend from Flintstones.
Barney
Barney
Rubble.
Gumble. I'm
Rubble.
once again we are
Fred
the
Flintstone.
Barney Bubble. Anyway, we are the KeenGamer podcast. If you know the name of the blonde character from the Flintstones, please email us at keengamerpodcast at we don't have an email.com.
So we're not going to do a Hanna-Barbera podcast?
I, when they bring back Wacky Racing, we'll do a Hanna-Barbera podcast. When they have like the TV show where they're all racing, Scooby-Doo, yeah. But real quick, any last thoughts on the Spider-Man DLC before we move on?
Even though like, it might sound a little negative, like the only issues I have, like big issues, and it's not its fault. It's just like this is a good product or okay to good. Just
Hmm.
the Insomniac Spider-Man like experiences and like just naturally like when you're playing, you're expected to do this, and it's like, nah, you're not.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know if you're listening to this and you have Avengers for PS4 or PS5 and you haven't played it for a while. Sounds like there's some really good DLC to catch up on, and then you also have some Spider-Man stuff at the end as well to play.
Yeah, and just if you have the Avengers, even on Xbox, with the exception of Spider-Man, all the DLC is free.
Yeah.
All of it. So even with problems, like it's free.
The more you talk about it, the more I actually want to play this game. I always heard good things about the campaign, and I do want to hop in there and play it. But then like the Wakanda stuff, I'm really enjoying Hawkeye right now, so I wouldn't mind seeing that Hawkeye DLC in the game.
So Avengers is on Game Pass. Am I correct?
It is definitely on PC Game Pass. I don't own an Xbox, but I assume it's on there as well.
Then definitely play the campaign. The campaign is the best part of the game. It's a
Mhm.
short one, but even with DLC, you're looking at about everything together 16 hours.
Yeah, yeah. That's nothing these days compared to some games. So
Exactly.
yeah, it might be one of those games that, like I said, at the end of the year, when I'm not playing things for a review or to talk about on the
hmm
podcast, when I can just like sit down and play a game for the sake of playing a game, Avengers might be that one I want to play.
Or if I'm reading like a Marvel thing or like something comes out, either news or actual like media, I want to
Hmm.
jump back in.
Yeah.
And this isn't the last DLC. There's a lot of rumored characters and leaked ones.
Oh, I wasn't. I for some reason I thought they were closing out their journey with this game, but if there's more DLC coming, that's promising.
I mean, maybe with how things are turning out, they could close it out, but
Yeah.
rumored War Machine, I maybe Winter Soldier, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk.
Last theory. Square Enix also released Guardians of the Galaxy this year. It was a surprise success for them. Is there any way they try and do something with the Guardians from the game and this cast of Avengers? Same voice actors, everything. Can they? Because it's Square Enix on both sides. They own both games.
Do they want to? Absolutely. Can they? As in like production wise and just putting so
Yeah,
much investment into something that's not turning out as they want?
yeah.
Probably not.
It sounds like it'll be a lot of work. And one of the things we were talking about last week about Guardians was how much we loved the banter and the conversation and the small details of that game. But it feels like maybe small details isn't what Marvel's Avengers is going for. It's more of like the grand scope of you're fighting a bunch of enemies, you're using cool powers. It's a more focused scope in Avengers, where Guardians was just willing to be as silly as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was Spider-Man DLC. Don't go anywhere just yet, folks, because we're actually still talking about Spider-Man. Mark has been playing Insomniac Spider-Man as well as Miles Morales. I've played both games. Spider-Man originally came out 2018. Miles Morales last year. We're going to be kind of loose with spoilers in our conversation. If you are adverse to hearing anything spoilery from either game, maybe jump ahead 10, 20 minutes. Look at the timestamps. I always include them in the show notes. Um, Mark, how has Insomniac Spider-Man held up 4 years later?
That and more so.
Yeah, I
It's so good.
like it's one of those games that I look back in the rearview mirror and like I just look back so fondly. It's like I was talking about earlier, using the web blossom ability is one of the best feelings in that game of just taking down 14, 15 enemies at once. Um, but did you start replaying it in preparation for No Way Home, the
Yep.
DLC? Yeah. Okay, cool. And is it getting you just more hyped for that then?
Absolutely. So I've been reading if you love the 2018 Spider-Man game,
Yeah.
a lot of it's based on Dan Slott's huge writer for Marvel, his run on Spider-Man. So I've been rereading that in preparation for No Way Home, and then you want to play the game again. It's
Yeah.
all Spidey all the time in my place.
Yeah. One thing for me that would get me hyped up is I remember really liking their characterization of Dr. Octavius in the game. And of course, Dr. Octopus is going to be a huge part of No Way Home. So
hmm
I that's a character who I've grown more fondly of over the years, and pretty much anything with Dr. Octopus I want to see and explore kind of his tragic origin story.
If you want to read a good, and this is a lot of spoilers, but this is
Hmm.
like years and years old. His run on Superior Spider-Man. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not, no.
So in the landmark 700 issue of the Amazing Spider-Man, Dr. Ock is dying, but he switches minds with Peter. So Doc Ock's body has Peter's mind, and
Oh.
Peter's body has Doc Ock's mind. And in one of the biggest twists, Doc Ock dies, aka Peter dies.
And then Dr. Octopus is in Spider-Man's body for
Yes.
oh wow.
And if you read comics, just know no one ever dies.
Yeah.
Except for like Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, the Waynes.
Batman's parents, yeah,
I
exactly.
was gonna say the Waynes, but I'm like Flashpoint Batman. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so, however, Peter's conscious affects Doc Ock's conscious, like in some
Okay.
weird comics way. So he wants to be the superior Spider-Man. So he becomes like his own version of Spider-Man.
Oh wow. I think I not that you mentioned it, I think I've heard of this arc. I'm just not a huge comic book reader, so I've not read it. But I feel like I did hear once at one point about Spider-Man switching bodies with one of the villains and then
And
dying.
everyone hated it at first because, why would you kill off Peter? Yada yada.
Mhm.
And it's like, then you read it, it is so well done. So
Yeah.
if you want to see more Doc Ock
Okay,
or
good
just
to
like
know.
an interesting side, Superior Spider-Man, go read that.
Yeah, Superior Spider-Man. I'm not going to forget that. Yeah, have you been hopping between Miles Morales and the 2018 game, or have you been doing one at a time?
Hopping back and forth.
Yeah. Do you prefer one over the other? Because while they are similar games that take place in similar settings, Miles Morales is no Peter Parker in terms of how they play. I think.
Yeah, like there's of course some similarities, of course, but like the venom and the camouflage and just like some of the style moves and
Hmm.
even the music, even
Yeah.
though it's by the same composer and I'm blanking on the name,
Hmm.
like when you're swinging, you just get that from the 2018, and then it's like a little more of a beat,
Yeah.
and you get some like Jaden Smith actually has a song called "I'm Ready"
Yes.
in the
Yeah. It's really
game.
good.
It's so good.
It's the opening credits song. Like when Miles is going down the street, he's like helping people like lift boxes into trucks, and he's a good community neighborhood guy. I think that's the song that's playing as he's like kind of just like strutting down the snowy streets of Brooklyn.
I think that's the end credits.
Oh, maybe you're right then.
I don't know what the opening one, but even just that.
Yeah. I always liked how Miles swings, which is weird to say, but
It, out of
there's like a
context, it's weird.
out of context. There's like a looseness and like the way he's like almost like flinging his arms through the air as he's falling. He knows he's going to be safe, but Peter Parker is a lot more composed in
Mhm.
action, where Miles is like obviously a little bit younger, a little bit more immature. Um, I just like his presentational, like how he fights and how he swings and how he moves, how he talks to his friends. I just really enjoy Miles as a character, and I really hope nothing bad happens to him in the sequel next year, 2023, whenever it comes out.
Less than 2 years. Oh my god.
Yeah, hopefully. That's knock on wood on that one because games get pushed back and delayed a lot these days. I don't want it to be 2026 and I'm reserving a PS6 to play Spider-Man 2.
But I would totally do that.
I would do it, but I don't want to do it.
And this
Um,
is also random, but I've never had a platform to speak about this
hmm,
regarding Doc Ock.
yeah.
Before they brought back Alfred Molina in character from Spider-Man 2, of course,
Hmm.
I thought the perfect guy, and this is after playing the 2018 Spider-Man,
Hmm.
Patton Oswalt would have been a great Doc Ock.
Interesting. Does he have the dramatic bones? Like does he have the dramatic acting skills to pull off the heavier stuff of Dr. Octopus, do you think?
He does. I think for a comedic actor, it's a lot easier to go dramatic than vice versa.
I mean, just look at Jim Carrey's The Riddler.
Except, I thought you were saying like eternal spotshine of the spotless mind, like how
No,
dramatic he is, and it's like the Riddler. What?
I was randomly watching scenes from that Batman movie last week, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how kind of awful this movie is, but also I kind of want to watch it again. And
Uh,
it wasn't a serious turn for Jim Carrey, but it was like he was playing after looking at Paul Dano's Riddler in the new Batman trailer, very different characters.
I felt like Jim Carrey was a good Riddler in terms of like the 66 Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Frank
Yeah,
Gorsha, however you pronounce his last name. Tommy Lee Jones is terrible.
yeah. It was that scene I watched. It was like the Two-Face Riddler scene from that movie, and the chemistry is not there. And Tommy Lee Jones, better dramatic actor than a superhero actor. But I didn't mean to derail you.
No, no
Patton
worries.
Oswalt would maybe be like a good Doctor Octopus. I could see it.
He was in this indie movie. He was like a Giants fan, and then he got
Big
like beat up by
fan.
one. Big fan. I think that's
Hmm.
what it was. Like he definitely has the chops.
Yeah, he's got dramatic chops. I definitely do see that. Yeah,
He can
no,
have the
that
look. I could just imagine the goggles, of course, the mechanical
the
arms,
arms.
and him just like getting propped up, like looking over Tom Holland.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yet again, Alfred Molina, I'm all in.
yeah, no, I can totally see it. Yeah, that'd be good.
Do you think
Um,
there's probably a Doc Ock in that universe? Huh.
I had this
They
random
still
thought just
could.
now, and apologies for going so off topic. It's just Spider-Man is just so huge right now. What if in No Way Home, Doctor Octopus arrives from his universe to Tom Holland's universe and finds out that his wife is still alive in this universe? Is that a plot that we could see in No Way Home? Because his wife dies through the when the glass explodes in the Tobey Maguire movie, but that's a different universe.
Kyle, you
Hmm.
just blew my mind.
Yeah, his wife might still be alive in this timeline. Which even Jamie Foxx's Electro, wasn't he a family man in the Andrew
I think
Garfield?
he was living with like his mom, and
Oh,
he
okay.
was all dejected.
For some reason, I don't remember a lot from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. I don't know why, but I just don't remember a lot from them.
Uh, Other than that, nah. I'm just trying to think. If the Sandman from the Spider-Man threes in it, which there is Sandman, we just don't
Yeah,
know if that's the one
yeah,
because it will go really off topic of that. I
yeah.
mean, he could see his daughter, but
Right, because his that's
imagine
a yeah.
like, oh, imagine like Doc Ock, like, is my wife alive? And it's like, "N- nah, she got killed at the Battle of New York."
Oh my God, yeah, you're right. So much has happened in the MCU where like she was probably just like walking down the street, and then yeah, the Battle of New York happened in 2012, and something happened to her.
Hmm.
But
Maybe that's why he works with Peter.
just a theory I had.
Okay.
I think it was like last night or 2 nights ago. I was like, wait a minute, if these characters are coming over from other dimensions, like their origin stories are not what you might think they are anymore. They don't have like Doctor Octopus's whole motivation is my wife is dead and I'm gonna go crazy. What if
Mhm.
she's not? But back to the games. I remember the Doctor Octopus storyline in that game really surprised me because he has that heel turn about halfway through, which I didn't think we were gonna get until a possible sequel to Insomniac Spider-Man.
I remember, and keep in mind, like, I was always an Xbox guy before Spider-Man, and not
Mhm.
because I was like, "Boo, PlayStation." It was like people at school told me, "Get an Xbox." I'm like, "I like peer pressure."
Yeah, I mean, if all your friends have one and you want to play with your friends, then you kind of have to do that sometimes.
And did they play with me? No,
No,
but I got to play Cuphead, like, super early.
hey, that's awesome. That's worth it by itself.
So, I was, like, following Spider-Man, but I was, like, not looking in because I was jealous, and I'm like, "Screw it, I'm just gonna get a PlayStation 4."
Hmm.
I remember they hid Doc Ock. Not just
Okay,
like when
yeah.
he's like the villain, just the character as a whole, just from
Hmm.
my memory. And he's gonna be bad. You don't
Yeah.
know when, but you love the dynamic between him and Peter.
Hmm.
Even replaying, it's like, oh man.
Because in that game, you have Aunt May, but you don't really have like a father figure at any point. Uncle Ben's already gone by the time you boot up Insomniac Spider-Man. So to have that character who's kind of like teaching Peter and being that formative role model for him, I thought we were going to have that for at least the entire first game.
Yeah. And then that
No.
disease happened. And he's like, I'm crazy.
Especially because the game presents, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Omni Man? Is he
Omni.
the guy who's like he can like he changes color? What is it? I thought he was the guy they presented as he's the be the main bad guy of this whole game.
Oh, Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative. Omni Man is from Invincible. Never mind.
I was like, that would be a twist.
Wait, you didn't do the side quest where Omni Man shows up? Oh man, that's a really good one. It's a lot of blood, but it's good.
Does it involve any trains at all?
Oh yeah, you fight him in the New York subway station. It does not end well for the New York subway station.
Rip.
Yeah, but yeah. Sorry, what was his name? Mr. Negative. I just forgot.
Yes. He
Yeah,
was the Martin Lee.
yeah. He was the guy they were presenting as like he's gonna be your big bad for this game. So then when he kind of goes down in Doctor Octopus Rises, I thought that was a really cool twist.
Like, it was at the RAF, and Peter's like, "It's been
Yeah.
you." Like, they kept like hiding Doc Ock in the advertisements, and everyone was thinking, "Oh, it's Goblin."
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was me Goblin too. And then of course there's that post credits scene of that game. Um,
And then the post credit, Miles.
Miles, yeah.
Do you
Oh
remember
wait,
that one?
post credit for Miles. Remind me. I remember the one for 2018, but I don't remember the Miles Morales one at the moment.
So the 2018, you find out throughout the game, like, you've been doing the side quests for Harry, like these
Hmm.
science experiments, these labs.
And at the same time, you are being told that your best friend is on vacation.
Yeah, he's in
Harry,
Europe,
yeah,
just like European things.
yep.
Probably going to a canal,
He's probably having a great time. No matter what he's doing, I'm sure he's having fun.
feeding the pigeons in little Italy.
Yeah.
Little Italy, no. But and then you find out like he's been really sick, and I don't remember it was like the same disease as his mother. But you
Might have been.
find like he's in a tube, like Osborn, like that is his whole motivation of like the dragon's breath.
Hmm. Yes, yeah.
And then like he reaches his arm, and then like black goo, which is, supposed to be this like assuming it's a symbiote.
Yeah, that's what I think so too.
So then Miles Morales, like, it's that same scene, but like months later, he's they find the news like his vitals are all stable, he's
Hmm.
normal. So Norman yells at a doctor named Kurt, which assumingly is the lizard,
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
and they like Norman's like, I don't care, get him out. And then he opens up the tube and
Credit or black
waits till
screen, right?
Spider-Man 2.
So I guess that leads me to my next question of like, what are your hopes and expectations for Spider-Man 2 whenever it comes out? And I don't want to jinx it, but I would love for this game to come out late 2022, early 2023. Of course, COVID and global supply chain could throw a wrench into all that. But what do you want from the next game?
Everything. No,
Yeah,
that's not realistic.
like what
But
about like switching between Peter and Miles, like because they each had their own game and now they're both going to be in this new one together. Do you think you'll be like actively switching between them, or if it'll be like a oh, in the first three chapters you play as Peter, chapter 5 and 6 you play as Miles, but then you go back to Peter?
or it's like a I'm assuming you played Arkham City, right?
Yeah, yeah. I played
Like it
Arkham
would be
Asylum.
like what?
I played Asylum. I have not played City.
So in the sequel to that game, you play majority as Batman, but some parts you play as Catwoman.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah, that's cool.
So it could be that like you can swing in the city as both Peter and Miles, but like this mission point requires one of the characters.
Yeah, you have to use your Venom to get through here. You have to use whatever Peter can do for this part.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's like, how do they make like if I rather play as Peter and Miles in battle, I'm going with Miles.
yeah. Oh, me
But yet
too.
again, how's the symbiote gonna be in play? Because
Hmm.
in the reveal trailer, it's assumingly Craven,
Okay, yep,
the character Craven, which if you've read Craven's Last Hunt,
yep.
that's a lot of themes that won't go into that.
Okay.
But that's exciting if they adapt that.
Hmm.
Not only Venom, who's voiced by Tony Todd, which is amazing
Yes,
casting.
the Candyman himself, right?
Yes, Zoom
Yeah,
from The Flash, love it.
yeah. Incredible casting for Venom there.
And then how is Harry gonna go into play? Like, is the
Yeah,
symbiote gonna attach to one of the characters? Are we gonna go outside of Manhattan?
that is the one thing. My list of things I want from the next game. I would like to leave New York for a bit. As much as I enjoy swinging through it in the 2018 game and Miles Morales, and of course Miles Morales, you're swinging through it during the winter season, so it does look very different than the original
Mhm.
game. I would like to, I don't know, take me to even like Michigan or Detroit. Like take me somewhere close by. I don't
I
know.
was
I'm
like,
not.
oh, let's go to Staten Island. Everyone wants to go to Staten Island, right?
I'm not picky. I'm not a picky guy. Just
But it's like, what's the mission? Like, you got to go play as Miles to go to Michigan.
I mean, ideally they go to Canada because that'd be cool for me to see some like Canada representation in the game. I just don't know if the battle's going to take them from New York to Ontario. I don't. That doesn't seem realistic. I that's my one thing though. I would like to leave New York, even if it's for one mission or like one chapter. I think just like a change of scenery would be very nice, which is hard to do because Spider-Man is so associated with Brooklyn and Manhattan. Might be hard to do.
How about go to Queens?
Yeah, yeah. Go to
That
Queens.
seems like more of like realistic. Like, it's like, yeah, we're going to Staten Island. It's like, why? No one wants to go to Staten Island.
Yeah.
And I have
Uh,
family from Staten Island.
yeah. See. I don't know enough about New York geography to know. Like, I thought Queens was in the game already. Like, I know there's like Hell's Kitchen, and is that a Marvel thing? Anyway.
No, Hell's Kitchen is part of that, but Hell's Kitchen is super important for Marvel because of Daredevil.
Daredevil, right? Exactly. See, I was like, is Long Island in the game? Can they go to Long Island, New York? Is that a fun adventure for Spider-Man?
I think it's just Manhattan. You can definitely go to like neighborhoods in like Hell's Kitchen, and there's some like actual like Marvel locations, like the Doctor Strange's home.
Yes, yeah. That's really cool that you can go there. Even like some of the Easter eggs, all the way through the games are just really, really cool. Same with Guardians. Like a Marvel game is able to put so many Easter eggs in their games that makes it a lot of fun to explore and just find new things.
Like, what if we can actually like other characters appear? Like I mentioned, Spider-Man and Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
Mainly that Johnny Storm relationship with Peter
Hmm.
is one of the best in comics. One of
Yeah,
the best bromances, I would say.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, more characters would be really cool.
Daredevil, come
Daredevil,
on.
yeah, like there's some low hanging fruit they could grab. I hope they grab it. I
Hey,
don't.
low hanging fruit is still fruit.
It's still fruit as long as there's no like fruit flies on it. Take a bite, have a good time.
Make a smoothie.
Make a smoothie if you got a blender with you at the same time. But no, I'm also like looking forward to because they're teasing Venom as the big antagonist of the new game. But even the first 2018 game had like what 8 bad guys throughout it you had to fight between the Sinister Six.
There was also Shocker. I don't know if he was part of this. I don't think he was part of the Sinister
Mm-hmm.
Six. And then there's like the Tombstone.
Yep. Oh,
There's a lot of
Tombstone.
villains.
Yeah, there's a lot of villains, so I just want to see more of those guys kind of take in. I even wonder if they'll try and like branch out to Wolverine from this game, or I wonder
I
if
think
Wolverine's going to
that
be its own
is.
thing.
I haven't seen any confirmation or denial that it is part of the same universe.
Hmm.
I kind of hope it's not,
Yeah, I'd like for it to not be. I'd like for Wolverine to be doing his own thing with his own story and
be-
not have it service a different game.
because how do you explain the mutants and whole that world and
Yeah.
that already exists? And I want Wolverine to be like rated M.
Yeah, totally. I almost want like the Wolverine Origins movie esque, like not the story. I don't want like Deadpool with his lips sealed shut to appear in this Wolverine video game, but kind of just like I want to see the start of Wolverine. I want to see him kind of coming to terms with his abilities and um the power that comes with it as well.
Him like retracing his memories and all that. Oh,
Yeah, I want is it Sabretooth? Is that his brother?
kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, I would like for him to be like a huge part of this game if possible. We'll see. Any last minute thoughts on 2018 Spider-Man or Miles Morales?
If you have somehow not played those games and you have a PlayStation, do it.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry for the spoilers, but yes, you should go play those games now.
I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go like spoilers. It's like, oh, you want the end credit scene from the second game? It's like, well,
Yeah,
picture this.
yeah. Before the show, I was like, we'll do late spoilers because these games are old, and then we're just talking about post credit scenes. So I put a spoiler
Welcome to
warning
the
at the top.
KeenGamer podcast.
Please use the timestamps. I do include them. If you don't want to hear us talking with spoilers, just jump to the next section, which is starting now. Um,
Oh,
I've been playing a couple games myself. The first one I want to talk about is I finally started playing a game called Deathloop, which I think has potential to be a lot of websites game of the year. I'm seeing it on a lot of like top fives and top tens. I've owned the game for about 3 or 4 months, just with life and other games coming up. I haven't got around to it. Started playing it recently. I'm gonna be playing it for the next 2 or 3 or 4 days probably. It's already got its hooks in me, and that's only after 3 hours of gameplay.
Now, do
Um,
you mean like next 2 or 3 days? Like, yeah, that's I'm gonna play that, and then like, because I'll will beat it.
I want to be playing it so badly. Like I said, I'm only 3 hours in, and when I'm gonna be actively wanting to play this game until I roll credits on it, essentially.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, I should preface this that I have never played a Dishonored game, which is what the studio behind Deathloop is mostly known for. It's a first person immersive sim, and essentially you're playing as a guy named Colt, and he wakes up on the beach of this like island in the middle of nowhere. And he wakes up and he has no memories of what he's doing there. He doesn't even know his own name. He finds that out probably within 5 to 10 minutes of you playing this game. But you're kind of just walking through, being like, what am I doing here? What's going on? And then you find a gun, and then you find a girl named Juliana, and she kills you. And she's like, see you next time, buddy. And then you wake up on the beach again. And at this point, your character's starting to realize, oh, what's going on here? I can die and then come back to the beach after that happens. But so far, like I said, I'm very, very early on. You're mostly running around or sneaking around with a gun or a machete and taking out enemies. The story I've been told so far is that there is about, I think, 7 or 8 visionaries on the island, each with their own personality and powers as well. And my goal is to try and kill all 8 visionaries within one loop. Let's say hypothetically, I haven't killed any of them yet, so I don't know. But if I kill 4 of them and then I die, I think I have to go back and try again.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. So the game gives you pretty silly abilities to start off with. Like I got a double jump right away, and my guy's like, "Oh, this is weird. I can jump twice in the air, whatever." Um, but one of the first abilities I got is actually a revival power. I can die up to 3 times in a loop before I go back to the beach at the beginning, which is kind of nice because I was running around first couple of hours. I'm not a big FPS guy, so I was kind of like shooting and missing and dying. But now I can die up to 3 times before I have to reset a loop, which is pretty good. So far, I'm really enjoying the voice acting. The guy behind Colt is consistently exasperated, doesn't know what's going on, very frustrated by the situation he's in, and confused. And hearing him like react to what's going on has been very fun so far. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna play more. Like I said, I haven't taken down the first visionary. Um, the exploration seems really cool. I'm really enjoying just the level design. Um, each visionary, I believe, has their own kind of area to themselves, and you can go in and you can explore. You have a device that can hack machinery, so you can hack enemy turrets. You can hack phones to make them go off to make an enemy walk towards them. So you can sneak up behind them and use a machete to slice them up. And so far, I found that sneaking around with the machete is the best way I can play. Sneak behind a car, wait for somebody to walk by, stab them, rinse and repeat. Wait for the next person to walk by. So, um, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I know there's a mode. I know it's kind of like a Souls game. I haven't had it happen to me yet, but the one character Juliana, who I was talking about earlier, the first one who kills you, somebody can invade my game. Like, say, Mark, say you also own Deathloop and you saw I was playing, you could enter my game as Juliana and try and kill me and stop my run.
I would never do that to you, Kyle. You
I
you should know better.
I appreciate that,
Of
but
course, man.
also as the player, Juliana is one of the eight visionaries, so she has to go down at some point. Um, if nobody's invaded my game, she's like running around hunting you, and if you kill her, she counts as one of your kills. But at any point, a random person can hop into your server, and they're actively hunting you down. It's like the guy from Jumanji. It's like the Safari guy hunting down Robin Williams, and I'm Robin Williams,
Oh,
um, in a death loop. But I'll probably have more to say about it later. These are very early impressions I have. By the end of my third hour or so, I was getting really confident with my skills in the game. Like I feel like I'm getting a hang of things. I'm just waiting for more story to happen essentially now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Game Awards, it's been nominated as Game of the Year. And
Yes.
as we talked about, a lot of Game of the Year mentions. I don't mean winner. I
Yep.
mean in terms of nominations.
Yep.
In your short span so far, do you think it's justified? Like you can see it, or it's like, meh?
Totally. One thing I've been enjoying so far is just the attention to detail. Like the island that you're living on is an island where a bunch of rich people have bought a ticket to live on, knowing that they can die and be reborn the next day. So you're in this kind of nihilistic land and you're inside a warehouse and people are spray painting like live today, die tomorrow, or there's like a car that's like crashed into the ocean because somebody thought it'd be fun to drive off into the ocean and then they just respawn the next day. As Colt, it seems like you're the only person unaware of the effects of the time loop. Everyone else there is voluntarily like they're almost like stabbing their friends as a joke because they know their friend's going to respawn tomorrow anyway. So you're kind of on the outside of the circle of knowledge on this stuff, but as you're walking through an area, you can tell all the shenanigans that have taken place there. There's one guy this morning who I saw. He was drinking and he went to go pee on a vending machine, and then the vending machine blew up and killed him. But I'll see him again tomorrow doing the same thing.
Did you get any snacks?
I got no snacks because the machine blew up. Like not even a bag of pretzels flew out in my hand or anything. It was very upsetting.
Warmed up Reese's, very underrated.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not.
Um,
It's pretty rated, but
the one thing that kind of overwhelmed me, and I'll probably get the hang of it later, is you get a singular grenade, which you can have like 4 to 5 in stock, but you can change what type of grenade it is through a menu, which I've already forgotten how to get to. You can have it be a normal grenade. You throw it, it blows up. You can change it to proximity, or you can change it to a tripwire grenade. Um, 8 minutes after the tutorial, I'd forgotten how to do that, and I've only been using it as a throw grenade. Though I need to go back to the manual and look up how do I make it a trip thing, because if I can set a phone or an alarm clock off and have somebody walk towards it and then they trip the wire and blow up, sounds like a win for me. But like I said, the main way I've been playing it is sneaking, crouching with a machete. It only takes about 2 swings of the machete to take down an enemy. So that's my main go-to right now. I find if I shoot a gun, even like one bullet from a gun, I'll see like 12 exclamation points pop up as like, oh, enemies know you're here now, and then I get overwhelmed and killed by the 15 dudes who heard my one gunshot. So stealth is my way of playing it right now, but the game is very vocal. But like, this is a game of decisions. You can sneak. You can just go in guns blazing. You can hack. You can like throw a bottle to distract somebody. It almost reminds me of like first person Hitman in a way.
hmm.
But it's got all these like kind of like clockwork mechanics in play that I'm curious to see how it's all going to play out. Because as I'm going to areas to investigate, Colt will remember mysteries he finds. So at one point, I found a room with a box in front of it with a microphone, and apparently somewhere else in the world, I can find the passcode to get in. So there is kind of like almost first person Metroidvania where I've discovered a secret, but I have to come back to it later once I find out more about the area I'm in.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it on PS5 right now. I believe as of right now it's a PS4 and PS5 exclusive, even though it is made by Bethesda, which is currently owned by Microsoft. So if you're an Xbox player, you should have this game within a year. I think it's only a 1 year contract for exclusivity with Sony.
And it will probably be on Game Pass, so
It'll probably come on Game Pass as well. So if you've heard about Deathloop and you're like, oh, should I get a PS5, PS4 to play it? If you're a little bit more patient, maybe 7, 8 months, you could have this game on Game Pass free to play pretty soon.
and
And
look on the bright side, you'll probably get Skyrim, the next one, next Elder
Starfield,
Scrolls, Starfield, Indiana Jones game, all exclusive. So
yeah, Game Pass is worth the investment, 100%.
yeah, we'll definitely talk about Game Pass in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will have more thoughts on Deathloop as I play more. My goal is to probably have it beat by next episode, so we'll see about that. I also thought I had some time last night, so I finally played Skatebird. Have you heard much about Skatebird, Mark?
Escape, like skateboard or escape?
It's like skateboard, but instead of board, it's a bird.
Do you get to skate on a bird? Because that's the greatest sentence I ever said.
You play as a skateboard, and the bird is your wheels. So essentially, you have
A
it.
skateboarder, or you play as the actual skateboard?
There's a character in this game called Tiny Hawk, and I think that should give you everything you need to know about what you're doing in this.
Okay, it's one of those games. Okay.
So somebody was in a meeting at one point, and they thought, what if we made a game about birds that ride skateboards? Pretty novel idea. Um, and
I
this
think
is
the
also on
meeting
Game
was
Pass.
like
Yeah,
I think the meeting was more of like, how can we get our main character to be called Tiny Hawk?
yeah. They had like a seed of an idea, and then they built the entire game around Tiny Hawk.
So immature.
So this game, it's from an indie studio. And like I said, you're playing as a bird on a essentially a tech deck, and you're riding around these giant environments as a bird. Um, when I booted it up last night, I was really impressed by the character customization menu. There's like probably 15 to 20 different birds you can choose from, whether it's like a sparrow or an owl or a cardinal or a blue jay. Doesn't matter. They got all the bird models there. You can also customize your bird with a wizard hat or devil horns or like a backwards baseball cap, like a skateboarder would wear. So I was really into the character customization, and while I was doing that, the music in the game is fantastic as well. Like after 8 minutes, I was thinking to myself, this could be some of the best music in video games this year.
Whoa.
So so yeah, the music impressed me. The character customization impressed me. What didn't impress me was playing the game.
Oh.
Is as soon as I hopped on a skateboard and I started moving around, especially somebody who loves Tony Hawk and like I loved those remakes from a year or two ago. Boy, it is just, it's floaty. It's very easy to get stuck behind corners, and then you have to almost like hard quit out of the game and then go back in to get yourself back to a normal position. Um, you're doing kick flips and stuff like that, but they don't look flashy. They don't look cool when you do them. It's just your bird flapping his wings and the board's going left or right. Um, so I started playing this last night, and I said I'll play through the first level. I'll give this game the first level, see what it does for me. I rage quit after like maybe an hour. A lot of that kind of charm and nuance of the idea of Skatebird had totally worn off by the first 45 minutes.
Alternative title, Kyle Rage Quits over Tiny Hawk.
HD.
HD. Is so what platform is this on? Only PC, Xbox?
Let me look this up for you real quick. I was playing it on Game Pass PC last night, as I do for most games. Looks like it's available on PS4, Xbox Series X. I thought it was on Switch, but nope, it's on Switch as well. So it looks like it kind of came to everything. I think it's like
What's the
$19,
eh, I'll
which
definitely check it out. I'll definitely check out the music.
yeah, like I said, the music is fantastic, and it's very every song is named after a bird. Like there's one that played called Crane. A lot of the songs will have bird chirping samples in them, which I was shocked did not drive my cats crazy last night. But the music will also have like audio of like a documentary filmmaker talking. So there'd be like a beat playing in the song, and all you hear is like, "Ah, you see back there, that bird's wingspan is as big as a foot-long sub," and like it's really cool. How they fuse like what sounds like authentic documentary audio with like bird hip hop.
What was that sentence you just said? Documentary announcer with bird hip hop.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what when I think of skatebird, I'm thinking of bird hip hop, bird hop. I don't know. There's something there. I haven't got there yet. Um, but like I said, the music was amazing. I really loved customizing the birds, and as I was playing, I was getting more outfits. Like one of the first ones I unlocked was a bee costume for your bird. So they'd have little antennae
Aw.
and stinger. It's very adorable. It's just unfortunate that playing the actual game was not very fun. And there's this one mission. It's open. It's open world, so you can skate around a level at your own pace. But there's objectives throughout. There's birds that will give you missions, and those missions usually have a time limit of about 2 to 4 minutes to accomplish. And the reason I rage quit was one of the missions was like manual 5 times across the bed. I'm like, simple. I've been doing manuals in video games since I was 10. But it's like a narrow platform you have to skate up to get onto the bed. I just kept falling off it. Like I was like, I'm trying to get up. I'm going in a straight line. That's all you need to do. Oh, I'm back down to the floor.
Oof.
Um, so the controls didn't feel good. It's not as tight as a skateboarding game should be. And I had to reset that manual mission 5 times. And on time 6, I was like, hard quit, back to my desktop, please. I think I am done with Skatebird. I gave it a chance, but the gameplay could not win me over. The charm did, the music and the characters, but everything else about it was just not fun.
This sounds, I'm not going to say exactly or even similar, but I'm getting a lot of Man-Eater vibes.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very good comparison. I think Maneater is probably overall a better product than Skateboard. I think Maneater does its thing better of being a shark and being in the water. I don't remember ever like getting stuck in Maneater the way at one point I was in Skateboard and I tried to ollie over something and the wheel got stuck on the ramp, and I was just like, once again, I was just stuck on the ramp and the board was stiff and it wouldn't move, and I had to bail and then get the skateboard back. Yeah, overall, like I said, it's on Game Pass. If you don't want to pay anything for it, it could be fun to check out. Um, After I finished playing it for 50 minutes, I was like, that's probably like a 5 out of 10 for me. And then I watched the IGN review, and they're like, yeah, this game is a 5 out of 10 for us too. And I was like, well, that's good to know. It wasn't just me.
I'll definitely check out the music.
Yeah, check out like. I'm gonna go back to the soundtrack personally. Will I ever play the game again? I don't know, but I want to listen to that music again. It was so good. It reminded me of like the soundtrack for like Paradise Killer, or kind of just like hyper pop in a way. It's very groovy, great bass lines, great percussion, some vocals on some of the tracks. But yeah, I recommend the music, not really the game.
At least we got bird hip hop.
At least we got bird hip hop out of this whole conversation, right?
Well,
Uh,
that and a Tiny Hawk.
and Tiny Hawk. Like Tiny Hawk is good. Like that was an idea for a game. They made the game. Let's see what they do next. But we're gonna move on from games we're playing at the moment. So you heard us talk a lot about Marvel's Avengers and its Spider-Man DLC, Insomniac Spider-Man, as well as Miles Morales. I did talk a bit about Deathloop and Skatebird, and now we're gonna go into the news. Which, like I was saying at the top of the show, news has slowed down quite a bit as the year comes to an end. But we do have a couple news topics here. Firstly, Smash Brothers Ultimate. They got their last character in October with Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but a few days ago they released its last update. Final buffs, final nerfs. We are pretty much officially ready to say Smash Bros. Ultimate is done. Developers have done their work. They did everything they can. They have announced that this is the last update for the game. Mark, are you a Smash Bros. Guy? I forget.
I am. I'm not like, am I going to be any tournaments? No.
No, yeah.
But no, Smash Brothers definitely has like a special place in my heart.
Yeah. And if people wanted to, they can go through and see what change is. A lot of like pretty specific and niche things. Let me just read one randomly. Mewtwo, side tilt attack, increased power, extended launch distance. It's stuff like that. Like they have tried to balance the fighters one last time to make them all as equal as possible. And now we're at a point where if they wanted to start development of a new Smash Brothers, now would be the time to do so after like a week or two vacation, you know. But
Yeah.
it's
Maybe go
a
to the Deathloop Island.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy to me. Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, I think, The end of 2018. It's been a 3.5 year, uh, you know, life cycle for it with DLC characters and updates. Do you think looking back in the rearview mirror, Smash Bros. Ultimate achieved its goal of being the ultimate Smash Brothers?
Yes, and we're recording this before the next Smash Brothers is ever released. Will be like the ultimate one.
Yeah, yeah. Super
And I know
Ultimates.
people want like Master Chief or a little more realistically like Crash Bandicoot,
Hmm.
but it's like they gave it their all and then some.
Yeah. Like we got Sephiroth in this thing. Like Cloud was one thing, but when we got Sephiroth announced for Ultimate, I think I lost my mind.
And then Sora is like the best character you can do if you want
Yeah.
like the feels
Yeah.
and just that image of like everyone in the background and Mario and Sora. I think they're shaking hands.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Come on, you're gonna make me cry on camera, Kyle.
Ugh. For me personally, I still wish they would have added a Mortal Kombat character. I know it would have been so hard to do, but I really wanted like Sub-Zero or Scorpion in this thing. That's my only like not regret because I don't regret anything. I love this game, but I do wish they would have added one Mortal Kombat character to Smash because they added Kazuma from Tekken. They have Ryu from Street Fighter.
Mhm.
Most of the major fighting games are represented except for that one.
I think honestly for me, it's just Crash Bandicoot
Yeah.
because I want like the early video game icons. And of
Yeah.
course,
Totally.
Mario and Pac-Man and all characters that have been in previous Smash games, Sonic.
Yep.
But then you have like the JRPG, like the Cloud and again, yeah, last game. But also oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this guy? Banjo Kazooie.
Banjo Kazooie. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, Crash? Just like that late 90s, early 2000s, like I wanted like that as like, okay, we have that
Mhm.
inclusion in the game. But yet again, they have like Minecraft.
Yeah. Minecraft's in there. Yeah. There's a lot. I think Crash or Spyro would have been dope. I think Spyro would be cool as like a lighter version of Bowser, because Bowser is one of the heavier characters in the game. Spyro, he can move faster, but he still breathes fire. He's got wings, so he can float back to the level after getting knocked off.
Hmm.
Crash would have been good too.
But honestly, those are like wish lists, like
Hmm.
not even nitpicks. It's like, oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But just think about like how much work went into this game. I can't pronounce the main guy for Smash, like
Oh.
the developer.
Sakurai.
God bless you, Sakurai.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw last week on his Twitter that he was like out in a mountain riding a horse, and I'm like, good for you, man. You deserve to like go horseback riding. I read reports that like during development of Smash Ultimate, he had an IV plugged into his arm because he needed to be hydrated for this game production.
What? Oh my! It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
I've
really
read that.
crazy.
I'm like, dude, you you did it. You can stop. And he's like, I won't stop, Mark, until you're satisfied. It's like I'm
Yeah,
satisfied, Sakurai.
he emailed you directly, being like, "Listen, Mark, I appreciate your concern, but I gotta see this thing through."
And I'm like, okay.
All right, bye. See you next year. XOXO. Bye.
And then the pandemic happened. We've been trying to meet up, but
Yeah, yeah, he's busy. He's if you get on a horse and start galloping towards Japan, I'm sure you'll meet him somewhere in the fields, over the
one of these
water, everything.
days.
Yeah. I think like you were saying, looking back, Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think, should be held on a pedestal. I think they put so much amazing work into this thing, from the music to the stages to the characters. It's even like the story mode, even though it's not, the best story mode in the world, it's still a
It was
fun,
like Brawl.
no, not like Brawl, but it was still a fun representation of all of the series represented across the game. Even like at one point you're sneaking through the laboratory from Metal Gear Solid, like really really cool stuff. I think you might be in Midgar at one point in the story mode.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, in hindsight, Ultimate was a huge success, and I'll keep playing it until the next one comes out.
Uh, I definitely want to see like a book all about the development and all about like the announcements or like a little docu series.
Yeah, I take a docu series for sure.
Because I've been Oh wait, now I'm thinking about it. I was going to reference the Raising Kratos, which
Mhm.
if you're a fan of
Yes.
the 2018 God of War, definitely watch that. It is super fascinating stuff. And then I just remembered there's an Xbox docuseries coming pretty soon,
Yeah, I think
like within the next week or two.
it's called Power On. I think it's a 6-part series about the origin of um Xbox within Microsoft. Yeah.
Or now I can definitely email Sakurai about this idea, so
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
I would love to see like a documentary like on the development of the next one if it's key if he decides to do the next one. Because if he says no, I'll be like, okay, that's totally up to you.
Yeah, seriously.
But just like get that footage and see how much work goes into that,
Even
including
like
all the development, the creation, the announcements. Oh my god, the announcements.
I know you wouldn't be able to like record stuff like this, but like what was that meeting like with Sakurai and Disney when he was trying to negotiate getting Sora into Smash Bros? Like that must have been a huge meeting with a bunch of rules being like you can't have Goofy in there, you can't have like no references to any of the Disney characters like Sleeping Beauty or Rapunzel. Like I just want to know like what was that conversation between Sakurai and the Disney lawyers and what were the negotiations like? And like you're saying, Raising Kratos was a really really cool like over an hour long documentary on the making of a game. And as somebody who is almost more into behind the scenes than on stage, I would
Hmm.
love to see more documentary stuff like that come out.
Oh, and by the way, the Raising Kratos is free on YouTube, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the Power On, they said YouTube, Roku, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be free as well.
Yeah, that should be available on multiple streaming services. I think you're right about it premiering next week. Yeah,
Definitely
I'm gonna watch that.
December
Yeah, I'll be watching
and
that for
before
sure.
Christmas. So
But yeah, Smash Brothers, you had a great show. You had a great run. I bought every single amiibo that you ever made me buy. And I
really,
can't.
you have?
Not every single one. I'm missing Wolf and I'm missing one of the Corrin amiibo, but I have every single one besides those guys.
I'm saying this because if you look, if you're watching the YouTube version and you're watching instead of my heavenly bright light, my brown this wall thing
So beautiful.
behind Kyle is all these amiibos and figures. It is stunning. A humidifier.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah,
that
a
the
humidifier.
official Smash humidifier
Yeah,
amiibo?
Sakurai signed that. It's on the back. It's hard to see, but
How much would that go for on eBay? Like
1,000 maybe. I don't know.
that's it.
I don't know. Maybe more. I don't know what the price of Sakurai signed memorabilia is, but I should keep my eye open because that could be something I'd want to get into at some point.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Let us know
Smash.
in the comments.
Yes, let us know in the comments below, please. So Smash Bros. Thank you for your service. We'll see you next time. The most interesting news of the week, in my opinion, was we were talking about Game Pass and how great it is. I play Skatebird on Game Pass. I'm going to play Avengers on Game Pass. It's a fantastic service. Sony is considering getting into the Game Pass deal even as early as like spring 2022. I'm reading this from an article from Kotaku, and apparently it's being codenamed Spartacus, and it's going to be a tiered subscription service where the first tier, the cheapest, will be kind of a hybrid of PS Plus and PS Now. The second tier will add more PS4 and PS3 games, and the ultimate tier is going to add possibly PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and even PSP games to stream. Depending on how the pricing goes, I am very curious about this, especially somebody who never had a PSP and would maybe like to go back one day to play a game like Crisis Core or Parappa the Rappa. Mark, as somebody who owns Sony, is the idea of them offering a Game Pass, does that sound good to you?
Just to clarify, I do not own Sony
Oh,
yet.
sorry. I thought you were. What are you playing Miles Morales on?
No, I was just joking. The I
Oh,
don't own Sony, the company.
sorry, my
Not
bad.
yet. No,
Okay.
but illegally, no, I would never.
Mm-hmm.
Nor I don't know how.
I don't know
Anyway,
how.
what do I think? Yeah, great. Do it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about last week when Jessica and you were mainly talking about Forza.
Hmm.
Even though I say that's the game that everyone is talking about as to why you should get the Xbox, the real reason, and everyone knows this, is the Game Pass.
Yeah.
I've had an Xbox One, and the last time I played Game Pass, incredible.
Hmm.
And that was before they really like pushed it as the main focus.
Yeah. When they started adding every game that they ever release onto Game Pass.
And that would be cool. Now I'm thinking about it, like, what are even like PlayStation VR games?
That'd be great. Especially because they are working on a new VR headset apparently for the PS5. So I do wonder if there'd be any um, incentive for them to add some of those titles to a streaming service as well. Of course, if you have the hardware, but
Mhm. So I haven't looked at the tiers or if there's any tiers for the Xbox
mhm.
Game Pass.
There might be. Like I said, I'm on PC, so I think there's only the one option for me.
And the tricky thing about tiers is it kind of overcomplicates things for the consumer.
Yep.
Like if you want to take Peacock or Hulu streaming services, there's the basic one that has commercials, and
Hmm.
then there's ones that don't have commercials, and then there's like a really high one with like live events, and that's is a bit easy to understand, but some people get confused.
Hmm.
This one, I'm like, wait, so you can play these games, that game? It's like at least make one of it like the day one tier.
Well, I feel like Nintendo is probably a good comparison here over like a Peacock or a Hulu, where Nintendo has their different tiers as of now, where their lowest tier, I think, is the $25 base tier, where you get to play games online, you get access to certain NES games and access to certain SNES games. A couple months ago, they introduced their second tier, which is, I think, closer to 50 to $60 a year. And those,
40,
that will,
yeah.
yeah, that'll get you the N64 games as well as DLC for Animal Crossing and Sega Genesis games. So like the tier pricing, second tier is confusing because you're getting more virtual console games as well as DLC for games that you already own. And that can only get more confusing as time goes on. Like if they were like pay for your yearly subscription and get Smash DLC for free, or what do I get for free? What do I not get for free with this subscription? Would be my question.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I'm going to buy it. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
especially if it comes out spring 2022. Because if they're doing the same thing that Microsoft is doing, as all of their big games are going to come out day one to this thing, 2022 is looking very good for Sony. Imagine not having to pay $90 for Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen, or the sequel, or God of War
Forbidden
Ragnarok,
West?
Forbidden West, correct, or God of War Ragnarok. Imagine just having access to that day one without the $95 day one fee, just your $15 a month or whatever you pay the Sony service. That to me is enticing.
And listen, both consoles are super popular and have made a ton of profit so far.
Hmm.
But if you look, what is the advantage of buying an Xbox console? It's the Game Pass.
It's Game Pass,
What's the advantage of buying PlayStation?
Demon Souls,
Okay.
one single
Nah,
game.
well, that's it. By the
Yeah,
way, I did buy that for Black Friday. I have
yeah,
still not played it yet.
yeah. You should go in there. It's probably like the best showcase of that console and what it can do.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's Miles Morales is up there too, but I think it's like just one of the best looking games I've ever played on console.
And granted, I have not played Ratchet and Clank because I
Me
haven't
either.
played the like not reboot, but that 2016, 2017 PlayStation 4
Remake.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I heard Rift Apart, that's the one.
Hmm. Yeah, Demon Souls has really cool things with the triggers and just like the 60 FPS mode and ray tracing and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But of course,
But
if you had Sony Game Pass, you would probably just get that game included with your library anyway.
exactly. I'm trying to wait. What was I trying to say? What happened? Oh, the exclusives
Hmm.
at PlayStation. A lot of people point. I mean,
Yep.
God of War, Spider-Man, which we talked about for 45
Yeah.
minutes. A great time, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But imagine you pay for your Sony Game Pass, and we'll call it Spartacus or whatever for now. But say you pay for Spartacus, and in 2023 you wake up one morning and you already have Spider-Man 2 available. You don't have to go to Walmart or buy digital and wait for a download. Well, you have to wait for it to download. But
Mhm.
the idea of getting all these first party Sony games for a monthly fee instead of $90 per, because of course things are more expensive for me than where you are in America. So the PS5 game is, I think, $89 plus tax for me to buy.
Oof.
So it usually ends up being around 110 after tax. So
I mean, yeah, definitely. I remember when I was talking about the Game Pass, I'm like, before the big update, I feel like the day one
mhm,
was that was like it was already super high Game Pass,
mhm.
and that was like you just reached. It's like that parade meme. It's like the expanding, like now we're at the Galaxy Universe part.
Yeah, yeah.
So if Sony people say like, well, what about PlayStation Now?
Hmm.
I feel like they don't care about PlayStation Now,
They don't advertise it.
and they kind of did ish. Like it's like we are gonna put these two games on the platform
Hmm.
for like 3 months,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And that's why I think with the Spartacus, with their lowest tier simply being a fusion of PS Plus and PS Now, that's very digestible as a consumer and something that I get my two big free games a month that I can download, and I have all these games I can stream whenever I want, whether it's like a Red Dead, Last of Us, God of War 2018. But then, of course, with the other tiers is where you get more options and more options. But I do think like just including PS Now with PS Plus is going to make a lot more people want to use that service. Because I always like don't even know what to do with PS Now. It always just seems like it's there on my home screen, and I just kind of always look over it.
I'm more interested in like the PlayStation Plus collection, which is on
Mm,
PlayStation 5, and it's basically their selection of like the essential like PlayStation 4 games.
yes.
And they're amazing. And this now I'm thinking about it. So let's say spring 2022, they
Mm-hmm.
have the Spartan, they have PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
You can definitely explain PlayStation Plus, the free games, online support.
Mm-hmm.
You have the PlayStation Now, but you have the Spartan. And this makes me think of like the HBO fiasco. There's
Oh.
HBO, but there's HBO Go, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's HBO Max, and everyone's like, Wait, which is which?"
Yeah.
I feel like you got to get rid of the Now and just rebrand it as Spartan,
100%.
because the biggest thing is you don't want to overcomplicate things.
No. And I think by kind of not having these two separate services, that if you subscribe to both, that's two different transactions for your bank account at the beginning of the month or the year or however long you have your contract for. PS Plus, PS Now, two totally different subscriptions
Mhm.
that takes, two separate transactions from your account. If I was paying one fee that came out once a year, once a month, whatever it is, $16, and I got everything under that umbrella, that makes things so much more easier for me as a consumer to want to experience and play and navigate these apps.
Exactly. But
So,
it's about time
yeah,
for Sony.
I think Game Pass, it's been really great and consumers love it. Is it
Yeah,
actually profitable for Microsoft? That's the thing that they're not so transparent about, is how much money they're making off of it, if it is even a profitable business for them.
that is true. I mean, I feel like it's similar to like how Disney bought 20th Century Fox. I know
Mm,
people said X-Men and Fantastic Four. It wasn't. It was for the streaming potential,
yeah. Yeah,
because they did that
exactly.
before Disney Plus. I feel like their acquisitions of these big studios and the rumor that's been for a while, like Warner Brother games.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, look at like the Bethesda on Game Pass now.
Yeah.
You have all that. So they're just gonna keep on building and building.
Which is interesting, which actually I haven't thought about this yet. I wonder if Sony will try and make an acquisition like Warner Brothers or something so they can have Microsoft Game Pass, you get all the Bethesda stuff, but come over to PlayStation side and you get the Mortal Kombat's, you get the Lego games, you get the Harry Potter, the Wizarding World of Harry, whenever that game comes out.
Hogwarts Legacy, I think it is.
Yeah, that game's been very quiet, and I know why they've been quiet about it. But that would be exclusive to Sony if they bought Warner Brothers Game Studios.
Now, Hogwarts Legacy quiet because of like production issues, or
I think is the J.K. Rowling stuff. I think that the Harry Potter universe in general, because I know they just had to recast Johnny Depp with Mads Mikkelsen in their Fantastic Beasts movie.
which, by the way, great casting.
Great casting. Love Mads. He can
Love,
do no wrong.
love Mads. Watch Hannibal.
Watch Hannibal. I love Rogue One. I think he's like one of the best parts of that movie. I'm a Rogue One defender, but
Oh,
um
people hate Rogue One.
I'm in a group chat of people that hate Rogue One.
Boo! I'll
Boo.
call you out.
But yeah, like you're saying, I do wonder if like that big acquisition is tempting for Sony.
It is, and it's like I have no clue. I just feel like gut instinct. I feel like Microsoft has more money than Sony,
Yeah,
so that's why it's like you want to throw out, you want to buy Bethesda. We're gonna buy
for
Bethesda.
I think it was like I'm trying to think of what the number
7
was right now.
billion
Was it 7 billion?
or 4 billion.
Yeah, I want to find that number right now. 7.5 billion dollars.
If I can whistle, I would put a whistle sound right now. You can
I'll
edit that in post, right?
I'll add a whistle sound in post for sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we don't know yet. I even wonder if we'll hear about this at the Game Awards. I wonder if Sony is planning. We don't see a lot of like non-game announcements at the Game Awards, though. I think it was 2 years ago they actually revealed the Xbox Series X at the Game Awards, so it wouldn't be unprecedented.
Yeah, they definitely revealed that, and I feel, imagine if they did. It's like
Hmm.
another like offer that's been on the table. I don't know how true it is, but like Ubisoft is up
Yeah,
in
I
the air.
wonder. Yeah,
Like, could you imagine like at the Game Awards, Microsoft is like, "We're gonna buy Ubisoft."
that would be crazy because then that means every Far Cry, that Mandalorian game, Assassin's Creed, those like that means Microsoft is like getting a huge percentage of IP.
Yeah, and I feel like Microsoft, like that is their main goal. Get as much IP as
Hmm.
possible
Yeah.
for that Game Pass. Similar to Disney,
Hmm.
that is their long-term goal. Just try to build up their service. And Sony, yeah, they're buying studios, but it's not like that big,
Yeah.
huge studio.
Because I think one of the biggest critiques you can have for the whole Spartacus thing is that people who already own Sony aren't going to really care if they can get Last of Us 2 on their Game Pass. They already own it. They're not going to care if they get Spider-Man because it's going to be games in the future that'll make the Spartacus intriguing,
Mhm.
not the games of the past. It's not the access to all these great PS4 and PS5 games. Most of us have already played them for the most part.
I would say, but probably like the recent PlayStation 5 games.
Hmm.
But you're right. Like the games that they probably already own, like God of War, and even that's part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
Hmm.
It's like I'm pretty sure a lot of people have played it. That's not the incentive game.
Yeah. And I wonder, because Gran Turismo is supposed to be next year, I wonder if a Game Pass service could do for Gran Turismo what Game Pass did for Forza Horizon 5. And that it just boosted that game's popularity and how much everyone was talking about it because so many people didn't pay $90 to play it. So that'd be great if they
Exactly.
can spotlight games like Gran Turismo, more of their niche games and less of their giant $1 million story driven games instead.
Which it would be great if they did push that,
Hmm.
but I feel like Forza what is big for Microsoft,
Yeah.
but thanks to Game Pass, it reached a level that I never expected to see from them.
Yeah. Even like a game like Back for Blood, I don't think that game would have been talked about as much if people weren't able to hop on Game Pass with their friends and just play it like that.
Exactly.
Yep. So time will tell. We'll find out hopefully sooner than later what's going on with Sony and their Game Pass. But that's the news for the week. We had a couple news stories for you. That was it. The Game Awards are coming up on Thursday, December 9th, and I thought it'd be fun for Mark and I to come up with some predictions for announcements. And I said it at the top of the show. I said there are no rules here. Get as creative as possible. Um, we have three each. I'm gonna go first with my number three. It's nothing too crazy. But 2021 has been the 25th anniversary of Persona, and we got Persona Strikers at the beginning of this year. Persona 5 came out in 2017. I really wonder if there's a Persona announcement hiding for us in at the Game Awards. Even if it's a trailer for Persona 6 that doesn't come out until the year 2026, that's fine. I just wonder if we'll see any Persona at all.
That would definitely be big.
That'd be big. Like all they need is some great music, a really flashy animated video, and people are going to be hyped for the next 5 years.
That would definitely. Would it break the internet? Probably.
After the popularity of Persona 5, I think Persona is at a place where its next game is going to be considered monumental, I think.
I like it.
And I don't know what I want from this game. I feel like we're going to get some character silhouette. Like we'll get silhouettes of characters. We'll have maybe a tagline for the theme of the game, because most Personas lean into a certain kind of a dark theme. I don't think we're not going to get a release date. It's not coming out day of anything Persona. I'll be happy.
Out of curiosity, so I've not played Persona 5, which I should, but it's like the backlog I have with games is just really great in terms of content, but oh my gosh.
Next time you have a spare 120 hours, you'll have some time for Persona 5.
January 2022. There you go.
There it is.
So you loved Persona 5, right?
Yeah, I talked about it on the podcast a few weeks ago. I really liked Persona 5. I do have some complaints about its DLC and how it's hidden in the main game. Quick recap: Persona 5 Royal has an extra 20-hour content in it, and I played through the entire Persona 5 game, so we'll say 115 hours, assuming the extra content was after the last boss. I beat the game, credits rolled, and it took me back to the main menu, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? I thought there was like a whole other semester of school for me to go to. About like the 80-hour mark in the game, there's something you need to do to trigger the DLC to activate so you can play that extra content. So I'm currently replaying Persona 5 after just beating it a month ago, so I can get to this damn DLC. And my playtime right now is like 135. Like, because I have to redo every dungeon. I can't just like chapter select. I have to replay the game, get back to that like 80-hour mark, talk to the one guy I need to talk to, and then I can play the DLC. I enjoyed the game. I just wish the game would have told me, hey, if you want to play the extra content, here are the steps you need to follow.
This sounds like that. I don't know if it was Roman or this Greek tale. It's the guy who pushes up the boulder of the cliff,
Sisyphus.
and then it just rolls back down.
Yeah, I feel like Sisyphus right now, and I just want to get this Persona rock at the top of its mountain, and I did once, and then it just rolled back to the bottom, and now I'm like, cool, another 100-hour journey ahead of me. That's beyond the point, though. I think the next Persona, they're going to put more money towards it. They're going to put more production values towards it. I think P6 is going to be a big deal, and if we got like a small tease at Game Awards, I think that'd make a lot of people very happy.
Play the iconic music.
Yeah, play the iconic music. Even yeah, it just needs a dope trailer is all it really needs. Mark, what was your number 3 thing that you think they could announce on Thursday?
So this is like, I'm not going to say most realistic one, but I feel like we're going to get a title for Breath of the Wild sequel.
I think so too. I almost wrote that down too. I think it's possible, but I don't know for sure.
And I don't think we'll get like a release date per se. I feel like, did they say next year?
They've been saying, yeah, it's currently 2022 question mark as the release date.
So I feel like we could, but I feel like getting a name and some footage is much more like you're still going to break the internet.
Yeah, 100%.
This game is to say it's anticipated is such a disservice.
Yeah.
Just having a little footage, like a minute, and it's like Zelda, Legend of Zelda, this title. I
Yep.
was trying to come up with like a fake trailer, like a name. I'm like,
Yeah.
Smell of the Wind, and I'm like,
Zelda.
that's a horrible name. But if like, Legend of Zelda, Smell of the Wind, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Zelda. You smelt it, you dealt it.
Y-
I don't know why
So
that came to me.
well, I was like, okay, you breathe, you taste, you smell.
Mhm.
Wild. What's wild? Earth, wind. And they came together. And I'm
Oh my
like,
god.
why did it come together?
It's gonna be a whole Avatar game probably. Um, yeah, I would like to see a trailer with some more story details and some gameplay. I'm not like hungry for more than that. I just want to see maybe like a solid 30 seconds to a minute of gameplay of him doing stuff in the world without like cuts every 3 to 5 seconds. And I would like more context about what is happening to Zelda. What was up with Ganondorf's corpse beneath the castle? I'm still unsure about that. What happened to Link's arm? Everyone in the, like he has a different arm in the trailers we've seen so far. I have a lot of questions. I want answers.
I'm just a simple man. Just tell me the
Yeah.
title. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm good.
I if I was to bet money, I would say that we are more likely to see a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer than not. I'm just trying to keep my expectations in check just in case we don't.
How much money do you want to bet?
Ah, man. I can say if I could like order you a pizza, I'd love betting with food, but that'd be hard for me to do. Um, it'd be like a $20 bet.
Buy me Domino's.
I can get you Domino's. Definitely, I'll
Woo!
get you Domino's. Um, so yeah, I think that'd be interesting. I don't think we get a release date. I think if anything, we get another trailer, and that's it, kind of thing.
We forgot to shout out our sponsor. Shout out to our sponsor, Domino's Pizza.
Thank you for letting me give you money to feed me twice a week. I appreciate it, Domino's.
What's their tagline? I was about to say eat some pizza, like fight the Noid. I don't know.
Is the Noid still relevant? Is he still around?
He made a cameo
Oh,
or a comeback old thing. I'm bring hashtag bring the Noid back.
as long as the Noid isn't on Cameo, as long as he's not asking like $20 for a video call for your mom, then that's fine.
Buy me a cameo of the Noid.
Of the Noid, yeah, yeah,
That or the Boss Baby. And yes, that does exist.
yeah. I got my mom a cameo from Gilbert Gottfried a couple years ago, and I don't think anything will ever top that.
That's the greatest thing I ever heard.
Yeah, it was fantastic. He went off script a little bit too much, but besides that, he was a great cameo guest.
Aw.
So Breath of the Wild 2, like I said, I think it's like 60-40 that we see it there probably.
I don't think a release date, I feel like that would be a little, I'm not gonna say a little too much because that'll be awesome,
Hmm.
but I feel like they don't want to reveal it because if they do, they'll be like, well, we want to make this game great.
I think Breath of the Wild 1 got pushed back so many times.
So
They don't want to make false promises if they don't have to.
remember when that was a Wii U exclusive?
I remember when they were showing off gameplay and it was Miyamoto playing it on a Wii U gamepad. Him and
God, the
Anuma
Wii.
being like,
Can't
"See the
believe I
mountain over there? You can climb it."
Yeah.
My Wii U is still
uh,
plugged in, by the way. It's got a great virtual console. If you want to play
it
old Metroid
does.
games, Wii U is a great place to go for it.
I can't believe I played the Wii U so much.
Yeah. Hey, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was really good. Okay.
So it was super great games. Some
Pikmin
great games.
3, Pikmin 3 was fantastic.
Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario
100%.
Maker.
Oh yeah. Yoshi's Woolly World. I'm not sure if you played that one, but that was one of my favorites.
Best best amiibo of all
Yep.
time.
Yep. Really good amiibo. Really bad Mario Party. I will give the Wii U some slack there. Mario Party 10 is crap. Um,
You're not breaking any new ground with that
no.
take.
No, that's the one where you move together as a unit across the board and you're working together for a common goal and not, ruining your friendship like you should be. Um, my second prediction for the Game Awards, and I talked about this before, it bugs me so much that Metal Gear Solid is not available on modern consoles. Back on the PS3, they released the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection, which had Metal Gear 1 and 2, not Solid, Metal Gear 1 and 2, MGS1, MGS2, MGS3, MGS4. I would like that compilation of games to be brought to the Switch or PS5 or Xbox, just any way to play those games in a modern or on a modern console. Also, because Konami is kind of slowly getting back into the game space, they've been more open about wanting to do maybe a Silent Hill or a Castlevania game. I think this is a good way to get people looking at Konami in a positive light again. And then I also don't know how this works with Kojima. I don't know if Kojima needs to be a part of this production deal at all, because I don't know if they're on good terms yet. But I just want to play MGS2 on my Switch, like in bed. That's all I want.
That would be amazing. Again, we talked about last week with like playing on the Switch. Just you get to play in bed.
Yeah. I mean, I know The Witcher 3 on Switch is not the best version of that game, but it's the version of the game I can play on the bus to work.
And it is actually I think it's a good version. Keep in mind, like, this is the Switch, so you have to keep that in mind, but it is damn good.
It's a surprisingly good port of like that and Skyrim. They both somehow made run pretty well on Switch. I think you can do the exact same thing with Metal Gear Solid, especially the old PS2 and PS1 games. I'm saying this after the whole GTA trilogy fiasco. They don't need to change anything. Just make it look a little bit prettier and put them on modern consoles. Even like with PS5, if they could incorporate like the trigger locking and the HD rumble, that'd be really cool too.
And this is only for the Switch or just all platforms?
Modern consoles. The Legacy Collection was on PS3, and that's kind of where it's stuck. You can play MGS5 on PS4 and Xbox One. You can maybe download some of the old games through the stores, the shops, but I just want people to be talking about Metal Gear Solid again in a positive light, and I think it would do Konami some good to do some of that work for us.
I feel like that would be good, a good start of like any potential like damage control.
100%.
That would be like, it won't be the ultimate thing, but that's a good like, hey,
yeah,
come on.
It's a good like letter of apology, being like, hey guys, it's Konami. I know we've had a rough couple of years recently, but I just want to let you know I'm sorry. I'm back, and I want to make it okay with you.
It's the equivalent of sending a Domino's pizza to someone. It's not the best pizza, but it's not bad pizza. Again, this episode is sponsored by Domino's Pizza.
Domino's.
Hashtag release annoyed.
Try out their thin crust Brooklyn pizza today.
Not their cheesy dips.
Cheesy dips are really good. Their bread is actually okay. This is going to turn into a Domino's podcast. Their bread has been like my favorite thing the last month or so.
This always was a Domino's podcast.
You just didn't know it at the time. My name is Kyle Domino. I have never said that full out loud before, but now you guys all know.
I'm ashamed. My last name is not O'Callahan. It was actually Mark the Hut.
Mark. Oh my god. Now
better than Mark Johns.
Mark Johns. Papa Mark Johns? I don't know.
I don't want to be. Trust me, you don't want to be Papa John's.
Yeah, better than Little Kyle's at least.
Kyle.
It sounds like a good idea for a movie, actually.
Little Kyle.
I would love to see Metal Gear Solid come back in any way, shape, or form. I just want to hear somebody say Snake, like just once again. It's been a while for me, so that's my number 2. Mark, what is your number 2 prediction for announcements for the Game Awards?
So it's funny with your number 2. Your announcement is basically damage control, or like try to win back some fans that you lost.
And it's like also like not a new game. It's like we're gonna bring back some old games for people to play.
Well, this one is gonna be a new game.
Okay.
It's not gonna be a big trailer. It's gonna be 30 seconds. It's probably just gonna be some music, maybe a shot or two, and the logo.
Okay.
Rockstar is gonna officially reveal, well, not officially, but hey, GTA 6.
You think so?
I think in like, hey, we're sorry. And again, this is not a lot of effort in this trailer reveal.
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, if you just put GTA 6
Hmm.
with some music, you broke the internet.
Yeah. And even if you show this trailer and the game doesn't come out for another 5 or 6 years,
Exactly.
let's all remember that Bethesda has already shown us a trailer for Elder Scrolls 6 in 2018. And that game's not coming out for definitely another 5 or 6 years because they're working on Starfield.
And keep in mind with that trailer for Elder Scrolls
Hmm.
6, it's basically like some music. I'm pretty sure it was like mountains or some interior, and it was like, boom, the logo.
That was it. And that was the trailer. And people got
And that was the trailer. And everyone, including myself, lost their minds.
everyone went crazy.
And I don't know if there's any like trailer or any footage or official like press release confirmation of GTA 6,
Hmm.
but it's a simple thing Rockstar has to do because I think they are making. Let's be honest. Of course, they're
They're
making
working on
GTA
it for sure.
6, but just to officially announce it, no date, definitely no date, not even year.
Hmm.
You could say within the next 10 years.
Yeah. Like I think exactly like you said, it's going to be a panning camera over a city. You're going to see some of the day life, some of the nightlife of the city, maybe a character or protagonist that you play as, and then GTA 6. See y'all in 5 years when we have a second trailer for you.
Yeah, have like a little the city sound, some music, and
Yep.
then GTA 6.
People
Guess
would
what,
lose their mind.
Rockstar? You won your fans back.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
What is a GTA trilogy? I forget. I forgot what that was.
a mess.
A thing that came out last month. Who cares? I just want to play GTA 6 now.
Yeah, because that game you definitely got Rockstar in a lot of trouble. Like they already have such good faith. So did they lose like a lot of faith? No. But I think just to like erase any like trilogy, like just forget about that GTA. Focus on this GTA
Yep.
that's coming out in like 5 years.
Forget about the past. Think about the future.
Yes, and by the way, we're having like GTA Online and 5 on next gen. But yeah, six
Yeah, yeah.
6 years.
I think that's a bold swing, but Keeley has been hyping up one specific announcement for his show. He was talking about on Twitter about how he's been working with the company for like 2 years for one of the trailers that they're going to reveal on Thursday. It could be him and Rockstar working together to have the big reveal of GTA 6.
And I was thinking like what trailer could it be?
Yeah.
And I feel like now I'm framing this as like they're just putting this together after the
Hmm.
trilogy. But
Yep.
of course, with a game as highly anticipated as GTA 6,
Hmm.
like of course they're gonna have 2.5 years. Like I can't think of anything current. Maybe like again the next Elder Scrolls, Half-Life 3.
I
Oh,
wonder nothing they're not working on a new Fallout because they're still doing Fallout 76 updates. So I'd like yeah. I'm trying to think of what game are we all hyped for that would be 2 years in the making of like dropping a trailer. I don't know what else that is. GTA 6 is a really good guess if you ask me.
that's the only thing I can think of. And as me framing as like, okay, we're sorry. Come on, we're still
Yeah.
Rockstar. We love you.
I like how half of our predictions are companies saying sorry to the consumer.
We are actually their PR people,
Yep. Yeah.
including Domino's PR.
Domino's PR, uh, pepperoni, and uh, I wish
Thin
there was
crust Brooklyn.
that. Yes, that's the one I wanted. Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's a great pick. This is not my official prediction. This is just one that came to me. Same as the whole Doctor Octopus going to see his wife in Tom Holland's thing. They released that Crash Bandicoot trilogy a few years ago, and then they made a new Crash Bandicoot game last year. They released that
Oh,
Spyro trilogy a couple years ago. I wonder if there's any chance there's a new Spyro game on the horizon.
that's a good one.
Like I think that Crash game did pretty well for them. I don't think it was the biggest thing of last year, but they made Crash Bandicoot 4 after 20 years between games. I wonder if a new Spyro is something that people are working on.
How much time was in between that Crash trilogy remastered and Crash 4?
2 to 3 years, I think.
Wasn't Spyro like within the same year or next year?
I think the Crash trilogy came out 1 year and Spyro was the year after, if I remember correctly.
That would be very bold.
That'd be very bold. Just throwing it out there, it came to me. I didn't want to like not say it, and then if they announce it on Thursday, I'd be beating myself up so much for having the idea and not saying it on a podcast. But my official last pick for predictions, and I was thinking about this a lot. I was like, what do I want to see from Nintendo? Obviously, you said Breath of the Wild. I think Metroid Dread just, really helped bring life back to the Metroid series as a whole. So I was thinking, what other Nintendo franchises could use a Dread? What um game we haven't seen for a while needs that revitalization? If we got a Star Fox trailer, or like a new
Ooh.
a new bold take on Star Fox for the Switch. Don't call it We can call it Star Fox Dread for now if we want. Just for comparison. But I think Star Fox is a game that could really come back and find success. I just don't think it has the last couple of games. There's the one for the Wii U, couple for the GameCube. Star Fox Revival, I'm calling it now. You'll see it Thursday. What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah. And a Star Fox that you can play on the go or on your TV. Like it's also one you can play like I don't know. Star Fox on Switch makes a lot of sense to me right now. When I'm looking at Nintendo franchises like F-Zero and Earthbound that have been a little stagnant for a while, maybe, but I think Star Fox has the biggest chance of making of re-emerging.
Well, I think something like Earthbound, that would be like a huge, like,
Huge
I won't say
undertaking.
left field, but it's like, what?
Yeah.
But Star Fox, if they were in this one Switch thing and not Smash Brothers, but it was like what's like, what the Disney Infinity stuff, like you get buy the toys.
Toys to Life, Skylanders, yeah.
Exactly. I feel like there was a Switch game recently that was like a toy to life, and it was like a Star Fox thing.
Yeah, I have it behind me, but my chair is covering it. You could get the R Wing from Star Fox, and you would like clip it to your Switch, and then you could fly the R Wing in this game called oh, it's gonna bug me, but it's not gonna bug me that much. Honestly, it was not very good from what I played. But yeah, they did try that game, and the Star Fox content was the best part of that whole game.
And that's the last time I've seen Star Fox, besides Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
So, and I
yeah,
feel like they do want, like, if you're Nintendo, of course you want it, like, this franchise to come back to life, or any franchise. Like, they're super happy with Metroid Dread.
hmm
And if they have, so you say, like, it's going to be their Dread, as in, like, popularity, or, like, is it going to be mechanics?
it's gonna be the game that makes people talk about Star Fox again. Because I just feel like that
Gotcha.
hasn't been a thing. And same with Metroid. Like there's 20 years between number 4 and Dread. Um, the Star Fox game could pick up after the events of 64. It could pick up after the events of, you know, people's favorite Star Fox game. They can kind of like retcon some of the stuff that happened later in the series if they wanted to. Just get Fox, Peppy, Falco, get the crew together, get their banter with good writers and voice actors. I want this game to play like the old ones. I don't want it to be an action adventure like Star Fox Adventures for GameCube. I want it to be aerial combat with different paths you can take that lead to different bosses and environments. And yeah, I think it's possible. I believe in Nintendo. I think they still care for Star Fox enough to want to try and rebrand him as like a popular figure.
That would be, yeah, that would be amazing.
So that's my swing and miss. Like I'm taking a swing with this one. There's like a 90% chance it doesn't happen. If it does though, I'm gonna feel really good about calling it.
So that
Um,
is your
that's my
number
number
one
one.
prediction.
My number one prediction. Like I said, it probably has the lowest chance of actually happening out of my three, but it's the one I'd be the most stoked for.
Hey, you got to take a chance. And if it's true, you're getting a domino.
Exactly. So I am curious though, Mark, what is your number one prediction for the Game Awards on Thursday?
So I was like, should I play it safe? Could I be like, oh, we're getting a trailer for Mario and Rabbits, like a new
Yeah.
one? Yeah, sure, I could. I
Yep.
can say like
Ooh,
we're getting a new Injustice or Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I could.
you could.
I want something I want. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen. I want it, and I swear to whatever God, if this happens, Kyle,
Yeah.
I will not shut about. Oh my gosh,
You are
it would
clearly
be the
very
best thing ever.
passionate. You're very passionate about whatever you're about to say.
Already written an article on the site about this.
Oh.
So I know there's a game coming out called Gotham Knights from
Yeah.
Warner Brothers Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
There's one game that's been rumored, and I'm telling you, if they announce this game, this will be the best news I ever heard in my life. Sorry to any future partners, kids, or job news.
Yep. Sorry.
I want a Superman game.
Yeah.
There will be a Superman announcement trailer.
Oh my god.
Lock it in.
So
Number
who
one.
who do you think's making this game? Like, is there somebody that has been rumored to be making a Superman game, or is there a company you want to be making a Superman game?
So actually, it would apply to both. So Rocksteady
Right. Yeah.
was supposed to, and then they ditched that. So the rumor right now is Warner Brothers Montreal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And there was a lot of like heavy, like I think it was like summer
Yeah.
or September. I'm not sure,
Well, even like
but
think about Guardians this year, right? They announced it in June and it came out in October. Like, there can be really short turnaround on this kind of stuff.
that is true. But I feel like with how long Gotham Knights is taking,
You're right.
but hey, if they said like, "Hey, Mark, it's coming out in May," I'll be like, What?"
Yeah. Oh, that'd
But
be
if they said
wild.
like, "Hey, we're making this," it could just be like 5 seconds. Like it could just be super lazy, no trailer voice. Like, there's a Superman game. Thank you very much. And it's like the logo will be like, "That's the best thing I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah. What do you want from a Superman game? You just want to be flying around as Superman? Do you want to do the dual lives of Clark Kent and Superman in this game?
Yes to all.
Yes to everything.
I want to be red Superman. I want to be blue Superman. And then if you get that reference, kudos, you're a nerd like me.
Yep.
I want it all. So the article I wrote is why a Superman game can work.
Okay,
And the
cool.
last full one we had was Superman Returns, which
Yeah.
you fought a tornado as the final boss. And that's all I have, Kyle.
That makes me sad to hear.
That it wasn't even a big tornado. It was just like it was a tornado.
Oh, look at that tornado. Did it have a health bar? No, it didn't, right?
It, it, it,
I
I
like the
think
idea
it
of
did.
I like the idea of tornado health bar, like a red health bar on it.
Does it have any special attacks? Like here's some debris.
Yeah. It's got phases, like boss phases. A cow at one point in the tornado. You had to dodge that.
Well, that actually would be a good boss.
Actually, not too
Not a
bad.
final one, but
I'm gonna TM that.
I wanted I want it all. I want an open world. You're flying in Metropolis.
Yeah.
You have all his powers, and you might say, like, how do you make someone who's so powerful as Superman? Like, you couldn't nerf him down. It can be early in his career. I mean,
Mhm.
enemies could have kryptonite weapons, of
Yeah.
course. Bring in Metallo. You can
Yep.
have magic in the game. You can have red sun energy. There's a lot of weaknesses to Superman that you can do. The skill tree. I mean, of course, it's obvious. You can upgrade abilities or getting new ones, like
Yeah.
frost breath, or I wouldn't say heat vision. It's probably like one of the main ones, but like all that. You
Yeah.
mentioned Do Life with him and Clark. I think I don't care if it's a ripoff. Do what Spider-Man did. Instead of the Mary Jane missions, which I actually did like.
Yep.
I did like Lois Lane.
Yep. And you can same thing with Spider-Man. You can pack this full of different outfits and costumes, like
All
from
the outfits. I don't even care. I
yeah,
hate paid DLC for costumes. Like that's
yeah,
why I love Spider-Man so much. You had to like, hey, get all these things and within the game. I'm like, you got it.
yep,
But like Marvel Avengers, it's like, hey, pay credits, so you get this costume. Like,
mm,
no, but
yeah.
maybe. Even if they did that, like, hey, you get to be the Red Sun Superman. That'll be $5. It'd be like, okay,
No, no, thank
one,
you.
two, three, four, five. You got me.
Yep. But
So
yeah, like you're saying, Insomniac does it so well where the costumes are just in game and there's a huge amount of them. You can pick and choose which one you want. Some of them have buffs on them as well.
exactly. Which it
Yeah.
didn't even need to do that. If it was just like, hey, you can be wrestler Spider-Man, and we're like, cool, awesome, I'll do that.
Yeah. Is there like a luchador Spider Superman at any point? Like he wears like a luchador mask? I would love that.
I think the crazy one you can do, there is a Bugs Bunny Superman.
Okay, that's cool. I'm into that.
You could do that. Definitely not like different characters. Like there's President Superman,
Okay.
who that's a whole other thing. Very cool,
Yeah.
BTW. But there's so much you can do within a Superman game, and if they just announced they're making one,
Hmm.
I'm in.
I think I
I'll
think I
I'll
think
pre-order how much
yeah.
money? You take it from me.
Like you were saying about like how do you make Superman relatable video game protagonist? Well, here's the good thing. It's a video game. So like you said, enemies can have kryptonite based weapons. They can have any amount of things that makes it so you're not just Superman bouncing bullets off your chest as people shoot you or your eyeball if it's Superman Returns. Um
Great scene.
that's a great shot. You can play around with the video game medium to make it so that your Superman is vulnerable and has a health bar and has limited powers.
And you build him up, make him early in the career. There's
Yeah.
so much you can pull from the mythos of Superman, whether
Yep.
it's movies, TV, and of course comics.
Yeah.
Like Superman is, even though I've talked a lot of Marvel, I am a
Mhm.
DC guy. If I had to
Yeah.
choose, bullet to my head, Superman is my favorite character. There's so much potential that you can get, and it's like they're not using it because
Mhm.
they're scared. And I get like, well, he's too powerful. Do you nerf him? Do you not? But they're working on it, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But
Um.
if they
Yeah.
announce it, I'll cry.
Yeah. Uh. Last question: would you prefer the story to take place in more of like a Smallville esque part of Superman's life, or like full grown adult working at the Daily Bugle, hanging out with Lois Lane? Is that more if you want, or do you want more of him being a youth and learning about humans and himself at the same time?
How about a compromise of both?
That could be
If
good.
this is early on, he first couple months of being Superman, working at the Daily Planet, but like
Mhm.
flashbacks, which would also be the tutorial of him like using strength in
Ooh,
Smallville
that'd be cool.
and learning that, and you would actually have to not fight but rescue someone from a tornado.
Hmm.
Classic Smallville scenario.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. Even like what you were saying with the powers, like say you unlock Frost Breath, and then the tutorial for that new power is actually a flashback to Clark Kent learning how to use that power in that moment of his life. Say he has to freeze a lake or freeze something to make something happen. That'd be a cool way of doing that.
Yeah, or like there's so much you can do, and you, even though I would be a little disappointed, like you can even do Guardians linear path, that's it, but just the open world of
Yeah.
flying
And being
in
in
this
like
game.
Metropolis, yeah, would be really cool.
People would complain like, yo, they nerfed him a bit, but it's like if you make him playable, this is gold.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great guess. I did not predict that to be one of our predictions, which is weird to say, but that's a solid guess, and I think you have some really good ones. I think that you might have like nailed two of your predictions on the head for what we might see on Thursday.
And if you say that Superman 1 is one of the things that I've nailed, thank
I
you.
think I think there's a potential. I think between Breath of the Wild 2, GTA 6, and Superman, I think there's something there for all of them, or at least they're not wild guesses. There is some basis to think that we might see these games at the show on Thursday.
There's definitely like for Breath of the Wild and GTA, there's like, okay, this is why they're revealing it or how they reveal it.
Hmm.
But Superman, I just want to see it.
Yeah,
Every E3, every Game Awards, the pain of not seeing the Man of Steel himself,
yeah.
the big boy, big pooh,
It hurts. It
whatever.
hurts.
It hurts so much that I can't even speak.
Yeah. One last question about the Game Awards before we close out the show. I just wanted to know not what do you want to win, but what do you think is going to win Game of the Year? And just to remind you, the nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. What do you think the majority of video game critics are voting for the winner?
That is tough. And I'm not gonna say eliminate because their quality.
Yeah.
Just it's probably at the bottom of their ballot. I think It Takes Two.
Hmm.
I think Ratchet and Clank.
Hmm.
I think Resident Evil.
Me too.
Maybe not. I think Metroid Dread.
Yeah, I think you
I
narrowed it
think it's that
down.
classic,
Yeah,
highly acclaimed game. And I think maybe Psychonauts 2. I have not played it, but the people I talk to, they're in love with that game.
people love that
And
game.
Deathloop would also be the bottom, but I feel like, in those passionate like IGN when they talk about the game of the year video,
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I'm basing on.
Hmm.
If a voter says why this game, they're gonna gush about this game. It's Metroid Dread.
Yeah. I think passion is a huge thing to play with it, and for that reason, I agree with you. I think Metroid Dread or Psychonauts 2, they're both games that maybe and there's a different timeline where they're not as successful as they are, but because the love and time and effort went into these games, they both came out to pretty much universal critical acclaim. And for Psychonauts to start as number 2 as a Kickstarter project that ends up with them being acquired by Microsoft to help, finish off the game. Like what an underdog story. And everyone loves an underdog story. And I think both Metroid Dread and Psychonauts encapsulate that feeling.
And I don't know when it was announced or rumored, but Metroid Dread has been in the works or like rumored for a while.
A long time. A long time.
So it is basically the equivalent of like if I get that super game announcement, like Superman announcement, like those years of just waiting, and finally coming out.
Yeah.
Because I remember when E3, it was either E3 or one of the directs. I'm pretty sure it was E3 for
Hmm.
Nintendo. When they announced that, people lost their minds.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
And I think besides the Breath of the Wild 2, I think that was the thing that people talked about a lot.
Yeah. 100%. And even like the Metroid Prime 4 announcement from like 2017, people still talk about it, even though it was a logo card. Same with
It's
ESO 6, right?
Yeah,
And one thing to do with GTA 6, all you need to do is show the words GTA 6 and the hype machine has begun for your game.
exactly.
Yeah. So I think Metroid Dread, I would love to see them win. I'd like to see Nintendo bring home that Game of the Year award, the first time they would do so since Breath of the Wild won in 2017. So that'd be very, very good for them.
Yes.
So that's going to
Do
be
you
a
remember
wrap. Oh,
what
go ahead. Yeah.
won last year?
Last year,
Oh, wait, it was Last of Us 2. Gotcha.
Last of Us 2 was last year. 2019, I think, was Sekiro. And then 2018, I believe, was God of War. And then Breath of the Wild the year before. Um, so yeah, it'd be great if Nintendo could, bring home another one of these awards, and then hopefully 2022 is a good year for them as well.
Even though they're super successful, it's weird to talk about Nintendo as the underdog.
It is, right?
It's like, oh, the little train that could. And it's like, no, they destroyed the competition since like the mid 80s.
But it's also like it's a huge kudos to them and what they're able to do with their software, because if you look at all of the modern consoles and the power they have, the Switch is like 50% of what a PS4 can do, maybe 30 to 40% power wise. That they can still make a game like Metroid Dread and have it beat out the Deathloops and the Resident Evil Villages. That's and it's a 2D adventure game. It's not a 3D
Exactly.
open world realized with side characters and side quests. It is like a 10-hour Nintendo game that they nailed. So I would like to see it win. That is going
Same
to be
here.
that's going to be a wrap on the KeenGamer podcast for this week. I want to thank Mark for joining me for some great Spider-Man conversations, all the news, Game Award predictions. Thank you.
And some domino stock.
I was going to say, one of us is getting Dominoes at some point this week. So that's good news for one of us.
Spoilers, it's both of us.
It's both of us, most likely. Unless I'm craving Pizza Hut, we'll see. Yeah.
Marka Johns. Is
Yeah.
that the hashtag?
I think if you had a hashtag, it's Market Johns. It's really
Marka
good.
Johns. That
Um,
thank you for thanks for having me on the podcast, talk about all things nerdy for
yeah.
me, Spider-Man, Superman, all the men in my
Yep.
life.
And we talked about it a bit last week. Mark and I are still talking about doing an MCU and review for 2021. We're thinking about maybe the first week of January. We're going to sit down, look at all of the Marvel projects from this year, the movies, the TV shows. We'll give them a rank, and then we'll also kind of talk about what we're looking forward to most from them as a company. So if you like hearing us talk about Marvel, stay tuned for a couple of weeks. We're going to try and record that pretty soon.
I'm a little scared because some behind the scenes, you're
Mm,
like, hey, this podcast won't take long, probably like an hour, maybe an hour
yeah.
and a half, and it's over 2 hours. And I had a great time. But I'm like, man, if we talk for 45 minutes about No Way Home, I think we might beat the record
Yeah,
for MCU in 2021.
we'll have to put some like rules down for ourselves. Like we get 10 minutes per topic or like 8 minutes per prod. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Or we can always do like a two-part podcast as well if that works out. We'll figure it
That
out.
or it's like, okay, we can only talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier for like 5 minutes, Black Widow for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You know,
spoiler alert, Falcon Winter Soldier, not my number one MCU thing from 2020. So,
no, still good, but it's like, that's bottom.
yeah, pretty bottom tier. But stay tuned for all of that. If you haven't already, head over to KeenGamer.com. Check out our game reviews, opinions. We also write reviews for movies and TV shows. I know Mark is currently covering Hawkeye. He also covered Superman and Lois, the first season that aired this year.
First season, and by God, as a Superman fan, hot take, I think he's the best Superman.
Yeah,
Come for
yeah,
me.
I've heard that. So if you enjoy hearing Mark talk about all of the MCU and DC stuff, go to Keen Gamer, hit TV and movies, find his articles. They're always great. And we thank you for listening to our podcast. We will be back next week. I'm not sure when, but we will be doing our Game of the Year show very soon. We won't talk about games we're playing. We won't talk about news. It'll be a podcast episode devoted to just talking about the best games of 2021. I can't wait to record that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for listening, everyone. Hopefully you have a good day, a good night, and a good week ahead of you. And I'll see you next week on the Keen Gamer podcast. Goodbye, everyone.